like you more. And if you keep the peace, maybe your family, they'll stop judging you. I know this because I've lived it. I've spent years trying to be everything for everyone else and thinking that if I could just do enough or say the right things and keep everyone happy, I'd finally feel good about myself. But what happens instead? Oh my gosh, you only work harder, you bend further, you shrink yourself smaller, and still
Hey,
someone's disappointed. Still someone criticizes. Still you're the one that's left feeling like no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm here to help you take your power back and stop wasting your time and your energy and your happiness trying to control things you can't control, like other people's opinions, moods, or
it was
actions.
good.
And instead,
Chill
focus
day.
on the one thing
How
you
was your
can
day?
control, you
It's Mel,
and your
yeah.
life.
That's awesome.
You stop
Just finished my
blaming
other book.
everyone else,
What
you'll
up, what up?
realize you have a lot more power than you thought. You've just unknowingly been giving it away. Let me introduce you to the simplest and most life-changing idea I have ever discovered. I call it the let them theory.
Yeah, good
What's the
day.
let
How
them
was your
theory?
day?
The let them theory is about freedom. Two simple words. Let them. Will free you from the burden of trying to manage other people. And when you stop obsessing over what other people think, say, or do, you finally have the energy to focus on your own life. You
Stephanie,
stop
thank
reacting
you
and you start
for the
living.
5 gifted subs.
Instead
Thank
of
you.
driving yourself crazy trying to manage or please everyone else, you're just going to learn to let them. So, what does this look like? Well, imagine you're at work and your colleague is in a bad mood. Instead of letting their negativity affect you, just say, let them.
Marcy, thank
Let them be
you.
grumpy. It's not your problem. So don't make it your problem. Just focus on your work and how you feel. Or maybe your dad makes yet another comment about your life choices and it hits you like a brick. Instead of letting it ruin your day, just say, let him. Let him have his opinions. They don't have to change who you are or what you've accomplished or your right to make decisions that make you happy. The truth is, other people hold no real power over you unless you give it to them. Here's why this works. When you stop trying to control things that aren't yours to control, you stop wasting your energy and you reclaim your time and your peace of mind and your focus. And you realize that your happiness is actually tied to your actions, not to someone else's behavior, opinions, or mood. Now, it sounds simple, and it is, but I am telling you, this one shift will change absolutely everything.
Rita, thank you.
And even though it's called Let Them, this is about you, your time, and your energy, because these are the most important and precious resources that you have. Where you spend your time and energy determines your experience of life. And the let them theory will teach you that the more you let other people live their lives, the better your life gets. And the more you let people be who they are, or feel what they feel,
Tracy,
or
thank
think what
you.
they
Rita,
think,
thank you.
the better your relationships will be. Learning how to let adults be adults has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Because when you finally stop giving your power to other people, you'll see how much power you truly have. But perhaps the most surprising thing about the let them theory is how I discovered it in the first place. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you the story. I discovered this thing that changed my entire approach to life at a high school prom. Now, there's a sentence I never thought I'd say. I don't know what it is about proms, but oh my gosh, are they stressful. And I had already gone through 4 of them with our 2 daughters, so I figured when our son Oakley's turn was up, this was going to be a breeze. Holy cow, was I wrong. Our daughters had obsessed about every single detail for months. It was so annoying. The dresses, the dates, the promposals, the hairstyles, the spray tans, the makeup, the corsages, bus rentals, post-prom parties. It was like never
D-Rose, thank you so much.
when their proms were finally over. Now, our son, on the other hand, he wasn't even sure he and his friends were going to be going. And despite me trying to figure this out, he communicated nada with me. And if you have a son or a brother or a boyfriend, I'm sure like, that sounds about right. And then, of course, what happens the week of prom? Oh, well, suddenly Oakley decides he wants to go. And I've got 48 hours to figure out the tuxedo and
Usually
specific
more.
sneakers he wants to wear and the logistics. And then all of a sudden, 24 hours before the thing, he's got a date. I mean, these were things our daughters agonized over for months. When the prom finally arrived, miraculously, I have no idea how we pulled this off. We had the tux, the tennis shoes, he had his date. I knew the location of the pre-prom photos. It was all figured out. And somewhere along the way, I had been talked into hosting
Bobby
a
with the
post-prom
5
party.
gifted, thank you.
So here we are. We're racing out the door. My husband, Chris, grabs Oak and reaches out to fix his bow tie just one last time. And our daughter, Kendall, happened to be home from college. And she took one look at her brother and said, "Oh, you look so good, Oak." And I just stood there and took in the moment. I mean, what a handsome young man he had grown into. I couldn't believe how fast 18 years had just flown by. I also couldn't believe that Kendall was almost done with college and our oldest daughter, Sawyer, she'd already graduated. She's now working
Clean the house a little
like
bit.
at a large tech company.
Still got more to do though.
Where did the time go? And as I stood there in the kitchen, I allowed this
Yeah,
fact
this
to
is a
wash
good
over
one.
me.
Really good one.
Time was
Did I
passing,
throw my fortune cookies out? I
and I
think I
wished it
did.
would slow down.
Wait,
That's the cruel
what?
fact about time, right? It's going to keep passing,
I don't remember throwing
whether
them
you
out.
and I slow down or not. And the time that you have with the people that you love, it's like a melting ice cube. 1 minute, it's there. The next, it's gone. And you and I, we can't stop the ice cube from melting. The only thing that we can do is make the most of the time that we have with the people that we love while we still have it. And in moments like this, when I really just stop and pause, I don't know about you, but I always kind of feel a little sad.
Damn, I should have kept those fortune cookies. Right? Fudge. I guess I threw them out though
Myself
when I was cleaning. Because it was in like a paper bag, so I probably grabbed the paper bag and tried to clean up, but that kind of sucks, bro. There was like 10 in there.
It's brief moments.
It's alright.
Do I really need to get so stressed
Bobby,
out?
thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. D-Rose, thank you so much. Thank you guys.
I'm sure you can relate, even if you don't have a kid that's going to the prom. Maybe you've let comments from your family ruin an entire holiday together. You get so consumed with work or with your school that you cancel yet another plan with your friends. You and I can waste years of our lives being distracted by just meaningless things or late nights at work because it's so easy to get so stressed out about life that you forget the entire point is to live it. So as I stood there in the kitchen watching Chris fix
No
my
problem.
bow tie, I just tried to take it all in. I took a deep breath and I walked up to Oak and I gave him a
Yeah, really
big
good sleep
hug.
last night, actually.
And then I
Slept
looked at
in.
him and I said, "You look so
Hey,
handsome."
what's up, Sherry?
And he said,
Good reason
"Thanks,
to buy
Mom."
Chinese again, yes.
So
How do you like this book so far? It just started, but I love that it's Mel Robbins. She's an amazing author, so um
for 1 minute you're tearing up about the passing of time.
so it's pretty awesome that we get to listen to her. Excited to be on this book, and then the next one I'll do the We Who Wrestle with God. Yeah, good sleep. Had lunch? Yeah, I just had lunch. I had a burger. I had WTF burger with fries and Pepsi. It was really good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like this one too. I already do, so I think it'll be good. The last one was pretty good. It was an older book, 2010, but it was all right. We can talk about what I learned about later, but it was good. Yeah.
Don't want you to bring it. I rolled my eyes at our daughter Kendall, looking for some backup, and she even shook her head at me and was like, "Mom, drop it. He's nervous. He doesn't really know this girl that he asked. Don't push it." I'll admit,
This book's 10 hours long.
maybe even a little hurt. I mean, I'd spent all this time scrolling online, researching flower trends for the prom because I don't even know his
Yeah,
name.
that's true, Shannon. She did. She turned her whole life around. I don't know her story from before, I forget, but yeah. Roast beef and potatoes, yum. That sounds good.
Plus, this is his first prom. I mean, what does he know? We're going to get there and then he's not going to have it. So I stuck the corsage in my purse and we head out the door to go to the place where everyone is taking the photos before the prom. Now, once we walk in,
Thank you, Sherry.
introduces us to his date,
I've only been listening
and
for
she
like 20
pulls out a
minutes.
boutonniere for his lapel and turns to my husband, Chris, and asks him, "Can you help me put this on Oakley's tux?" I, of course, just could not help myself. I literally reach into my purse like I've got a winning lottery ticket, and I pull it out, and I'm like, "Oakley said you didn't want something, but I have this made up for you, just in case." Oakley shot me a look. If he could have killed me with his eyes, he would have. And I immediately, based on how angry he was, I wish I had just kept my mouth shut. And he then turns to his date and he kind of has this like, "I'm so sorry" look on his face. He's like, "You don't have to wear it." And she looked back. She's like, "It's okay. I'll wear it." But not with any level of enthusiasm. And that's when I noticed she had made her own corsage, which she was already wearing on one of her wrists.
Just that pizza, yum. That's good.
I mean, if I could have just evaporated in that moment, like literally to another universe, right then, Oakley like grabs
Sonic? No,
for me.
I don't think so. Maybe in Toronto though.
Everybody's kind of standing there,
Could be in Toronto.
and shifting, and then he slides
Let me
the
check.
corsage on her free wrist, which she thankfully had extended.
Is it a burger place, right? Oh,
And then
Buffalo.
Chris pinned on the boot.
Closest one's in Buffalo.
And then, out of nowhere, it starts to rain. And by rain, I mean downpour.
Stacy, thank you so much.
Outside, everybody jams into the house. Rain
Thank you for supporting the stream.
One of the 20 kids dressed in black tie or their parents had a rain jacket or an umbrella.
I had a burger, fruit, and veggies. That's yum.
It's soaked. But it didn't seem to faze the kids.
Nice.
They just kept talking in a group, carrying on like nothing was happening.
Pickle fries? That sounds good.
And that's when I overheard them.
Do you ever go to Buffalo for fun? Not really, no. Except football that one time, but no. Not really.
You guys don't have a reservation?
No, I don't think you can get deliveries from Buffalo, no. I never tried that, though.
Reservation for dinner? He shook his head.
I doubt it, though.
Now,
that'd be pretty insane.
Didn't bother my husband or my son, but
maybe, actually. You never know.
Did it bother me? How the heck did 20 kids have no reservations or plans to eat before the prom? Our daughters?
Sharon, thank you for 25 gifted subs. Thank you for supporting the stream.
Casually discussing their plans as a group, and I'm like, dude.
Do you like chicken wings?
So
yeah, for sure. Chicken wings are one of my favorite.
Teenage boy can. Oh, I don't know. I think we're gonna head out to Amigos.
Robin's husband.
Now, Amigos Taqueria, it is a great little taco place in the center of our town.
I've heard the 5-second rule.
But it's got maybe 4 tables. The entire place is the size of a shed.
Yeah, she does like simple things that make sense and pushes it. It's good.
The plan. So 20 kids.
Flat bones on wings. Flat bones on wings. What do you mean by that? Darling Nikki, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you for supporting the stream.
Couldn't help myself. You know that feeling when your body is like
she's straight shooter. She's cool.
And you just really cool. Can't
I like her.
Stop yourself from saying something or doing something irrational? Well, that was me. I had to do something. And in my defense, I wasn't the only parent who started to intervene. Because now dozens of parents are starting to swarm their kids.
Ever had bone and wings?
Trying to take control of the situation. Meanwhile, I break out my phone and I'm starting to search for restaurants that might have a reservation available for 20 people. Nothing. There's nothing. And I could kind of feel Kendall watching me. You know, like when somebody's sort of hovering over you?
Both. Bone in, bone out. Both good.
So I started to kind of call out to the other parents. Hey, guys, I can't find a reservation. I'll just look for a pizza place that delivers and we can have them deliver here.
My day's going good. How are you?
And that's when it happened. Kendall reached out and grabbed my forearm.
Hey, Carla.
And she yanked her towards me and she looked me in the eyes and she's like, Mom, if Oakley and his friends want to go to a taco bar for pre-prom,
doing well.
Let them.
Doing well.
But it's too small for them to fit in, and they're going to get soaked, Kendall. Mom, let them get soaked.
Good evening.
But sneakers are going to get ruined. Let them get ruined.
Thank you.
Kendall, they're brand new. Mom, you're being annoying. Let them show up to prom in wet tuxedos and dresses.
How are you?
Let them ruin their hair. Let them go eat where they want. It's their prom, not yours. Just drop it. Let them. I'll tell you what, the effect was immediate. Something inside me
Ranch.
softened.
I like ranch.
It's like I could feel the tension
The
disappearing.
sun, it's kind of
My
cloudy.
mind stopped
It's kind of
racing,
cloudy today.
and the stress of trying to control what was happening just evaporated. Why did I need to get
That's
involved?
good. That's good.
Why did I have to manage the
Andy,
situation?
thank you for the 5
He's 18
gifted.
years old. He has a cell phone. Why not worry about what I was going to do for dinner tonight rather than what they were? Why am I stressing about them at all? Let them. It's their prom, not yours. Mel, stop controlling it and judging it and managing it and making
I
it your
haven't been
job,
chilling on the
and
balcony
just
now.
let them.
I
So
should
that's what I
more
did.
though.
As the other parents just kept trying to micromanage their kids and keep them at the house and order me,
Irene, thank
I
you
just
so
walked up to
much.
Oak and smiled. Now what? He said. Nothing. Here's $40 for amigos. Have an awesome prom. He smiled wide. He gave me a huge hug,
No, I
and he said,
haven't.
"Thanks, Mom. We will." And then I watched as Oak and his date stepped out the door in the
Nice.
pouring rain.
That's fun.
I watched them run through the storm and splash mud right up or down, and it ruined his new
I haven't seen
sneakers.
the fireworks
And you
now.
want to know what? I didn't care. In fact, it was kind of cute. Little did I know that one moment would fundamentally change my entire
Hunter,
approach to
thank
life.
you.
Let them. What an amazing idea. Within a
No,
week,
not tonight,
I
Christy,
could
at
not
least.
believe
I'm
how
just gonna
different I
listen to
felt.
this, go live, and do
I
something
had started
else.
saying, let them, anytime I felt stressed, tense, or frustrated. And funny thing,
Nice, that's fun. Mother's
I
Day?
realized every time I said let them, it was always regarding other people. Let Oakley be mad that I'm not letting him stay out late tonight. Let Grandma read the news out loud. Did you hear about this? Let them do construction during the Monday morning commute. Let them leave dishes in the sink. Let my family be late to absolutely
Thank
everything
you.
we do. Let my relatives be judgmental of my career. Let people hate the photo that I just posted online. Let my mother-in-law disagree with my parenting. Let them be sold out of bagels at the bakery. 2 simple words. Let them. Changed everything. It was as if I didn't care and was weirdly above it all. The things that used to bother me
Hunter,
just
thank you.
didn't.
Irene, thank
The people
you.
who used to annoy me just didn't. The tight grip that I had on life, it just started to loosen up. Situations at work that would normally stress me out or cause me to go home and complain to my family just rolled right off my back.
You read this book, Sharon?
Brain
That's
space that was
cool.
once overflowing with just
Yeah, Mel
dumb
Robbins.
annoyances or drama or worries, it was now available for more important things. And the more I said, let them, the more I realized that a lot of what I worried about, not worth my time, nor did it deserve my attention. And not everyone was worth my energy. It was liberating. The more
She
I
is
said
good.
let them, the more time I had for myself. Time to think, time to breathe, time to have fun, time to spend on what mattered to me, time to take care of myself. I felt at ease, happy, and centered. And the impact, it was undeniable. Even Chris noticed. You seem different. And the fact is, I felt different. I felt so good. I just had to share this let them idea online. So I
I'm
posted
not
a
really on
60-second
TikTok
video
recently, but I
explaining the
used
let
to,
them
yeah.
theory on social
Watch
media.
her on
Here's
TikTok.
what I said. I just heard about this thing called the let them theory. I freaking love this. If your friends are not inviting you out to brunch this weekend, let them.
Yeah, I'm just
If the
sticking to the
person that you're really
audiobooks for now,
attracted
so
to
staying in
not
one lane
interested
for
in
now.
you, if your kids do not want to get up and go to that thing with you this week, let them. So much time and energy is wasted on forcing other people to match our expectations. And the truth is, if somebody, especially somebody you're dating or who's a friend or somebody you're trying to partner with in business, if they're not showing up how you need them to show up,
That's nice.
to change, let them be themselves.
Karen, thank you for the 25 gifted subs.
Just
Thank
let
you.
them. And then you get to choose what you do next. Holy cow. I couldn't believe what happened. Within 24 hours, more than 15 million people had seen that video. Within a week, it was 60 million, and there were tens of thousands of comments on the video.
Thank you,
News
Fran.
outlets started writing articles about the let them theory and how effective it is. And people around the world started flooding my DMs and the inbox with questions and stories and examples of how they were using it. Next thing you know, psychologists and therapists are writing blog posts about this thing. I was so blown away by the immediate response. I recorded a podcast episode about the theory and my experience using it. Well, that episode, it took on a life of its own. It's been shared so many times. Apple named it the sixth most shared podcast episode of the entire year globally of all podcasts. And that was just the beginning, because then the Let Them tattoos started rolling in. And I just want to give a huge shout out to all the tattoo artists and all of you that gave us permission to print your beautiful works of art. There are 3 pages of Let Them tattoos that are printed in the Let Them hardcover book. They're absolutely amazing. Let Them is by far the most powerful thing I've ever discovered. And the fact that people around the world were getting Let Them permanently inked on their bodies is honestly what inspired me to dig in and write this book. I had to understand why 2 words had such an immediate, profound, and universal impact on so many people.
Yeah, tattoos are cool.
Researching the theory. I've spent the last 2 years researching the Let Them theory, why it works,
Maybe
and how
one
you
day
can
I'll
use
get
it to
it, but just
transform your
definitely,
life
I'm
and
just
improve your relationships with other
still trying
people.
to figure out my shit
And
before I
I'm
get
so
tattoos.
excited to share absolutely everything that I've
And
learned with you.
modeling,
Because
they
in
don't really
writing
like
this book,
tattoos.
I've spoken to
You'll lose
many of the world's
jobs
leading
because of that.
experts in psychology, neuroscience, behavioral science, relationships, stress, and happiness. And their research will help you apply the Let Them theory in countless areas and situations in your life. And as you're going to soon see, the science is very clear. This thing works, and it works really well.
Which one did you get,
But this
Nevada?
book isn't just about introducing you to the Let Them theory. It's really about a fundamental law of human nature, and that's this. All human
Which one do
beings
you have, Brandon?
have a hardwired need for control. See, we all have this innate desire to control everything about our lives. From our time, our thoughts, our actions, our environment, our plans, our future, our decisions, and our surroundings. Because feeling in control, that's what makes you feel comfortable and safe. So naturally, you just try to control everyone and everything around you, oftentimes without even realizing it. But what you're going to learn is that one thing you will never be able to control, no matter how hard you try. You will never be able to control or change another person. The only person you are ever in control of is you, your thoughts, your actions, your feelings. For far too long, you and I have been working against this fundamental law of human nature. You've been fighting to change people and battling to control situations or worrying about what people say, think, or do, because I did it too. The Let Them theory has transformed my entire approach to life and how I deal with other people. Because instead of resisting and working against the natural flow of human nature, I've learned to embrace it. Instead of wasting my energy on things I can't control, like what other people say, think, or do, I've learned how to pour my energy into what I can control, me. The result? I've gained more control over my life than I've ever had before. It's freeing. I finally stopped making other people a problem. And in doing so, my relationships, they improved in ways I never thought possible. It was almost like unlocking a door that had been sealed shut for years. And behind it, a life where I'm no longer weighed down by the need to manage everybody else. And you're going to experience the exact same thing. It is so empowering. Now, in the coming pages, you're going to learn all about the Let Them theory and the easiest way to start using it and how awesome it feels when you do. The first half of the audiobook is dedicated to you and the Let Them theory. And you and I are going to focus on 4 areas where you've been unknowingly giving your power away to other people. And whether you realize it or not, it's the reason why you feel tired and you're so stressed out. And so we're going to cover these 4 areas step by step and how you can use the Let Them theory combined with the latest research to better manage your stress, to stop fearing other people's opinions, to deal with someone else's emotional immaturity. And I'm going to teach you how to finally overcome chronic comparison once and for all. Then we're going to move on to the second half of the audiobook, which is dedicated to using the let them theory to improve your relationships. And you're going to learn that there are 4 ways that you've created problems in your relationships, and you probably don't even know it. I didn't either. What are we going to discuss? Well, we're going to cover how you can use the theory to master adult friendship, motivate other people to change. You're going to learn the proper way based on research to help someone who's struggling. And you're going to learn an entirely new way to think about love, what it means to choose the love you deserve. Everything that you're about to learn is supported by scientific research, but this by no means is a textbook or an academic paper. It's just meant to be a guide to applying the let them theory to the most important areas of your life. And that's why I'm going to share all this with you in a way that's easy to understand, fun to listen to. There's lots of stories and specific takeaways. And listen all the way to the end, because I also have some amazing resources at the end of the book, including 2 summaries that you can download for free that cover how to use the theory with kids and how to use it to be more influential at work. If you can promise yourself that you'll stick with me through this whole audiobook and listen and absorb and then start implementing what you learn, I guarantee you, life is going to get easier and your relationships are going to get so much better. This is going to be one of the most liberating and empowering things you ever experience. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about redesigning how you live your entire life. I cannot wait for you to discover the space, the power, and the freedom to experience your life the way you've always wanted to, on your terms. So let's jump into the next chapter, where I'm going to teach you exactly how to use it. Chapter 2, Getting Started. Let them and let me. In this chapter, you and I are going to dig deeper into the let them theory. You're going to learn how to use the 2 steps of the theory, and we're going to dig into fascinating research in psychology. We're going to talk about stoicism, all of the deep reasons why the let them theory is so powerful and why it's going to work. And the way that I want to jump into this is by telling you a story. So not too long after I discovered the let them theory, I was just sitting on my couch, scrolling through social media, and I saw this photo of an old friend of mine, and she looked fantastic. And so naturally, I glanced down to read the caption, and in it, she described this amazing weekend she had just had with her friends. And I could tell she meant it because of the photos. She was tan and happy and relaxed and refreshed. And I found myself thinking, wow, I could really use a weekend like that.
Pauline,
Hell,
thank you.
I could just use a spray tan at this point. And so I started swiping through the carousel of photos, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is photo after photo of an absolutely amazing weekend away with a bunch of women. They were at brunch, dancing and shopping and laughing and swimming and cocktails. And then I saw this group photo and somebody was wearing a really cute dress. So I took my thumb and my finger and I started to pinch so I could zoom in for a closer look, only to realize I knew every single one of the women smiling back at me on the screen. My heart sank. My friends had all gone away together. You know that awful feeling in your stomach? The one that hits you the moment you realize that you've been left out? It feels like a punch, right? You try to brush it off. You tell yourself, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But the hurt's real. And I know I should have put my phone down. I didn't. You know what I did? I looked at those photos one by one, watching a girls' trip through the eyes of the very same women that I had raised my kids with in our small town. And I tried not to let it bother me, but it did. My mind started to fill in all the details. I imagined how much fun they were having and how close they'd all become. I had known these women for years. We had bonded over barbecues and carpools and soccer games and date nights with our spouses, hard conversations about parenthood. So naturally, I just started to spiral. I'm talking full stalker mode. I sat there on that same spot on the couch. I felt the couch meld to my back as I was poring not just over the photos, but then I went to each and every one of their accounts. And here's the weird thing. 5 minutes before, I had been perfectly fine. But now, well, now I was sitting here feeling this familiar swirl of emotions, from rejection to insecurity to confusion to hurt. started thinking, well, when did they plan this? Why wasn't I included? Why am I never invited anywhere? When was the last time I went away with friends? And I just kept scrolling and scrolling through their photos and turning these questions over and over in my mind. And at some point, Chris must have walked into the room because I heard him go, "What's wrong?" I told him the truth. I just found out a bunch of my friends went away for the weekend on a really fun trip, and I obviously wasn't included. That sucks. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe they're mad at me. He crossed his arms and he asked me, "Why do you care so much? It's not like you're close friends with him anymore, Mel." Well, that's not what I wanted to hear, but I knew he was right. But I still felt this urge to reach out and just, I don't know, smooth things over. Have you ever experienced that before? You find out you're not included in something, and all you want is some kind of reassurance that there wasn't something that you'd done wrong. Because honestly, I didn't know. And if you're anything like me, when it happens, you immediately assume that you've done something wrong. And so as I sat there on the couch and I'm like racking my brain for any evidence as to why I'm not included, and that almost made me more nervous. We had known each other for years. We had gone through early motherhood together and had lived a lot of life together. And I really liked everyone who was on that trip. But at the same time, I hadn't really spent time with them as a group in a long
Jen, thank
time.
you.
I'd seen them around town at large gatherings. I hadn't invested in those individual friendships. I hadn't planned anything fun or reached out to them recently either. Now, in my mind, I knew this, but in my heart, I was devastated. I felt like I was in middle school again, left out of the sleepover, or the one who didn't make the team, or who wasn't part of the inside joke. I felt myself wanting to reach out and just try to fix it. Call, text, anything to make the anxiety that I was starting to feel go away. And that's when these two words came in and saved me from myself. Let them. See, the old me would have obsessed over this for days. Well, for weeks, really. And my emotions, they would have definitely gotten the best of me. I would have tried to pretend it didn't bother me. Have you ever tried to do that? It doesn't work, does it? I would have tried to convince myself that, oh, I don't care. I would have tried to rationalize it over and over in my mind. And ultimately, I would have turned my friends into villains in order to make me feel better. Oh, well, those stuck up people think they're good. All of which would have made me feel worse and withdraw. But thanks to the let them theory, that didn't happen. It bothered me for about 10 minutes. As soon as I said, let them, I felt a little better. The second time I said it, I felt a little better. The third, fourth, fifth,
Thank you,
16th,
Special K.
30th time I said it, I felt a little better. And I'm going to be honest, right up front with you. In these types of painful situations where you feel left out, or someone hurts your feelings, or somebody breaks up with you, you're going to have to keep saying, let them, over and over. Because when something hurts, the hurt doesn't just disappear, it rises up again and again as you process it. So don't be surprised when you find yourself having to repeat, let them, again and again. Let them go on the trip. Let them take the weekend together. Let them have their fun without you. And at first, those words, they are going to feel like a rejection. It's almost like you feel like you might be giving in. But then you're going to realize something very important. Saying let them isn't about giving in. It's about releasing yourself from the control that you never had over this situation in the first place. Because just stop and think about the story I'm telling you. Was there anything that I could do to change what happened? No. So no matter how much time and energy I poured into analyzing it or wishing I could control it or fix it, it would never change what happened. And besides, their choice to go away, it doesn't have to make me feel bad. Heck, I didn't even know about it earlier in the day. It was my attempt to control the situation that was making me feel horrible. Let them. And just like that, the knot in my chest, it began to loosen. And this pressure to fix the situation and this fear that I had done something wrong, it just started to fade. And I realized something, their weekend, it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't personal. They're not plotting against me. They're not making a statement about my worth or whether or not I deserve to have fun times with friends. And even if they were making a statement, let them. In these types of painful situations, you're going to have to keep saying, let them, over and over. Because when something hurts, the hurt doesn't just disappear, it rises up again and again. So don't be surprised when you find yourself in a situation, whether it's being left out, or somebody's hurt your feelings, or you get laid off, or you didn't get
Thank you,
into your dream
Kelly.
school, or somebody breaks up with you, that you're going to have to keep repeating, let them, again and again. So let's talk about what we're really trying to control. Because we all have moments where we try to control the world around us. And that's especially true when you feel hurt or left out or annoyed or afraid. For example, maybe you found yourself trying to manage every detail of a group plan to make sure everyone is included and everybody's happy. Or maybe you've stressed about whether people are upset with you. Or have you ever been in a situation where someone's not responding to your messages right away, and now all of a sudden you're super stressed out about whether or not they're upset with you? It's exhausting, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I'm a fixer by nature. I've spent most of my
Sandra,
life
thank
believing that
you.
if I didn't step in, if I didn't manage the situation, then things are going to fall apart. If I didn't do it, it's never going to get done. I had to be the one who kept everything together, whether it's relationships or work or friendships or the weekend plans, even the emotions of the people I love. And when something didn't go the way I expected, I used to feel like it was a reflection on me. If someone was upset, if something didn't work out, if I wasn't included, I automatically thought, okay, I have to fix this. I got to change it. I got to control it. And even if you're not like this, you probably love someone who is. And every time they get into that mode where they're just go, 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 and they just take care of everything, you freeze. You don't know what to do. That's the way that my husband is. And that's not good either. These are examples of what we do when we feel like things are out of control. I'm the kind of person that jumps into overdrive. My husband feels more in control and safe if he takes a step back. In both of these reactions to stressful situations, you're losing your power. In talking to so many psychologists while researching this book, I learned that the urge to control things comes from a very primal place: fear. Fear of being excluded, of not being liked, of getting in trouble, of doing something wrong, or of things falling apart if we're not the ones steering the ship or if we get in the way. And it shows up in all kinds of ways. We hover over our kids, making sure they make the right decisions. We try to influence our partner's habits, worry that if we don't step in, somehow they're going to get it wrong. We even impose our opinions on friends, believing we know better than they do about how their lives should unfold. Now, I've felt this fear a lot in my life. Fear that if I didn't make things happen, I'd be forgotten. Fear that I wouldn't be liked or accepted. Fear that without me doing everything, things would unravel. And let's be real. Control gives you the illusion of safety. When you're in control, you believe you can protect yourself from pain, disappointment, rejection. But it's just that. It's an illusion. Because no matter how much you try to control people or situations, the truth is, you can't. People will do what they want to do. They're going to make their own choices and they're going to live their own lives. The fact is, none of that control, whether it's you doing, or you taking a step back and freezing, actually makes you feel better. In fact, it has the opposite effect. Trying to control people and situations, it's not going to calm your fears. It amplifies them. Any psychologist will tell you the more you try to control something you can't, the more anxious and stressed out you become. Sitting on that couch, staring at my phone, I started to realize I wasn't just trying to control what my friends thought of me. I was trying to control my own emotional discomfort. I hated feeling rejected. So my immediate reaction was to try to just fix the situation and figure out what I had done wrong so that I didn't have to feel anything at all. And that's when the let them theory started to kick in at a much deeper level for me. Let me give you another example of how this works. Let's say that you're at a meeting at work, right? And you've come up with an idea and you're super excited about it. You've put a lot of thought into it and you know it has potential. But when you pitch it, crickets. The room goes quiet. I mean, people, yeah, they nod politely, but then they move on, and before you know it, someone else's idea is getting all the attention. How do you feel in that moment? Well, I know how I feel. I feel unappreciated. I feel invisible. I then start second guessing myself. And then I wonder if I should have said it differently or tried a little harder, or maybe I'm not smart enough, or I'll make up some story about the person whose idea it was, that they're the favorite, and they always get the attention. I'm sure you can relate to that because we all do it. And here's what I want to highlight. In that moment, when people dismiss an idea and then politely nod, you get to choose. Are you going to let this dismissal crush you? Or are you going to say, let them? Let them dismiss it. Let them go with a different idea. I mean, their response doesn't change the value of your idea. It doesn't change your worth as a contributor. They might have gone with a different strategy, but that doesn't mean your idea wasn't great. You're still the same person with the same talents and the ability to succeed, and the fact that you had an idea to pitch proves it. Let them. And in fact, if you want to be successful at work and successful in business or successful as an entrepreneur, you need this. Because one of the keys to being successful is being able to hear rejection and go, let them, and move on. Every single successful entrepreneur has the same story. There were 100 people that said no before someone said yes. And the same is going to be true with you. Here's the difference. You now have the let them theory. So you're going to be able to hear the rejection, say, let them. And then you're going to say, let me. Find the next one and move on. And the same thing goes for dating. Maybe you've been texting someone and you think things are going somewhere, but then out of nowhere they ghost you. Like no response, no explanation. It stings. It always hurts when somebody does that to you. And then you start to wonder, what did you do wrong? And you start replaying every conversation in your head, and then you're trying to figure out what went off the rails. Then there's the temptation to text them again to find out some way to get closure. I mean, it's almost overwhelming. And I think every single one of us has been there at some point. But that's where the let them theory comes in. You're going to say, let them. Let them ghost you. Let them disappear. Let them show you who they are. Their disrespect doesn't say anything about you. How you respond does. So stop asking yourself, why are they doing this to me? Because the question is, why do you want to be with someone who does this to you? You don't. Don't waste your energy chasing someone who's already left. Focus on what you can control. And that's processing your emotions and reminding yourself that you deserve someone who treats you with respect. Bye. On both of these situations, whether it's work, dating, or anything else, when you say let them, you're recognizing what's in your control and what isn't. Instead of spiraling, you're choosing to steady yourself and detach. As I said earlier, other people hold no real power over you unless you give them that power. Every time you say let them, you take your power back. Or take me in the situation on the couch. I wasn't even aware that my friends had gone away together. The second I saw the photos from their trip online, though, I reacted. My emotions took over. That's what made me feel insecure and left out and less than. And then, of course, I had to take it a step further and just start trashing myself and telling myself that I had done something wrong, which, of course, that makes you feel good. If I'm being dead honest with myself, I did it to myself. My friends didn't do anything to me. They're just living their lives. They're allowed to go away. They're allowed to plan a weekend with whomever they want. And they're allowed to plan a weekend without me. The way I reacted to their trip is what hurt me. And this is a very, very important nuance to understand. And I really want to unpack this with you in detail. This moment where you realize how your reaction either hurts or empowers you. And so I'm going to bring in a visual to help you really understand what's happening when you say let them and when you say let me, and why this is working so well when you do. And I want to use the visual of a seesaw on a playground, okay? You know, where you're on one end and someone else is on the other end, and you go up and you go down and you go up and you go down, because this visual of a seesaw is going to help us explain the power dynamic between you and other people and how it goes up and down and how you can use the let them theory whenever you feel you've just lost your power. So whenever someone does something that just bothers you or frustrates you or makes you hurt or stress you out, whether it's planning something and not including you or passing you over for an opportunity that you wanted or just saying something rude, positive or a neutral way. Now, if you react negatively and you start to have self-destructive thoughts or heavy emotions, like I did on the couch, those heavy emotions, what do? They weigh you down. When you feel rejected and upset, it brings you down. And if you really think about it, your reaction is what tips the scales and changes the dynamic between you and someone else. And so I want to explain this seesaw with the example of me simply seeing my friends going away online. The second I saw that photo, I felt inferior. I felt jealous. I felt insecure. I felt left out. I felt less than. I felt those things. It created heaviness in me. And just like a seesaw tips down to the ground, that's what I did to myself. And any time you internalize other people's thoughts, actions, or feelings as evidence that somehow you're a bad person, or your ideas are dumb at work, or that you've done something wrong, or your mother's bad mood is your fault, you just give power to the other person. And it shifts the dynamic and balance in the relationship, and you start to feel beneath them. And that's exactly what happened when I started to say to myself, oh my God, I had done something wrong. I was left out intentionally, feeling inferior and jealous and insecure. Those thoughts and emotions, they're heavy. That's what tipped the scales. It seemed to make my friends go up. All of a sudden, I'm not having a fun Saturday noon on the couch. I feel like I'm at the bottom of a seesaw looking up at people that are superior to me. Well, that's before the let them theory. What happens when you say let them is you free yourself from the weight of all the negativity that just made you sink. As soon as you say, let them go away, let them not include me, let them have fun without me, you just feel lighter. It's almost like pushing off the ground on a seesaw, right? What happens? You go up, your friends go down. Now you're the one up there. You're the one looking down on your friends. The power dynamic shifts when you say, let them. You start to feel superiority. You start to detach from those negative emotions of jealousy. Let them. It gives you this kind of false sense of control. That's why people love saying, let them. Because when you're up, you feel superior and you push through these heavy emotions and you rise up. And this is automatically going to make you feel better than anyone else. You're going to feel wiser. You're going to feel above everyone, which makes it easy to detach from this situation that just bothered you. It helps you move through the situation and accept what's happening. It's going to help you process that painful experience. Let them. Now look, a little superiority, it goes a long way when you're in an emotional spiral. But then, that moment of saying, let them, it's over. And then you're going to think, okay, well, now what? And you're going to be sitting up there looking down on other people, and you're going to start to feel stranded in your superiority. And that's exactly what happened to me. You know, after I started saying, let them, I didn't really know what to do after I said it either. Because saying it and getting that jolt of superiority, it feels good, and detaching from the emotion feels great. But that's the easy part. I didn't know what to do next. And that's the danger of only saying, let them. If all you ever do is say, let them, let them, let them, it will lead you to feeling more isolated in your life. It will make you want to withdraw or shut down. And that's exactly what the old Mel Robbins would have done with the situation with my friends. If I had just stopped at the let them go away. I don't want to be on that trip anyway. I can imagine it now. I would have just sat there in my superiority. I wouldn't have reached out. And I probably would have gossiped about them behind their backs with other friends that weren't there. And then I would have felt very awkward every time I saw them. And keep in mind, these are people I like and I want to be friends with. I want you to stop and think about a situation where you see friends of yours going out and doing something without you. When it happens, it hurts. It always hurts to be excluded. Heck, maybe it's your siblings that aren't including you. And you want to be included on the golf trip. You want to be invited over to watch the game. You want to go away for the weekend. I mean, would it be fun to go out for drinks with your cool coworkers? You want to have great, fun friendships. And I want that for you too. So let me ask you a question. How exactly is feeling morally superior going to help you create those great friendships? It's not. Saying let them just relieves you of the hurt and pain you feel, but only momentarily. And look, it feels amazing to blame other people. And it feels awesome to think you're better than other people. But as your friend, I am obligated to warn you that if all you do is say let them, you will find yourself without a lot of friends, without a lot of social plans. And you're going to be confused as to why the theory isn't working in your favor. And that brings me to a major discovery that I made when I first started researching the theory. Saying let them is just the first half of the equation, and you cannot stop there. There is a second critical part to the theory. Let me. The source of your power is not in managing other people, it's in managing your response. When you say let me, you're tapping into that power by taking responsibility for what you do, think, or say next. Let me is the part where you realize you are in control of what happens next, and that life is way more fun and fulfilling when you're not sitting alone on your couch in your superiority. Let me is the power move. That's why the theory only works if you say both parts.
Maritino,
When you
thank
say
you.
let
Rebecca,
them,
thank you.
you make a
Danny,
conscious
thank
decision
you.
to not allow
Rhonda,
others' behavior to bother you.
Maritino,
When you say let me,
Sandra,
you
Kelly.
take
Thank you guys.
responsibility for what you do next. What I love about let me is that it immediately shows you what you can control. And there's always so much you can
That's a
control.
good book.
You can control your attitude, your
Be grateful you have
behavior,
it now.
your values, your
Maybe.
needs, your desires, and what you want to do in response to what just happened. Let me is the opposite of judgment. Let me is self-awareness, compassion, empowerment, and personal responsibility. Your friends who went away aren't better than you, and you're not better than them. This is the crux of the let them theory. Let them and let me. And the more you allow people to live their lives, the better your life will get. The more control you give up, the more you will gain. Because the let them theory is not about superiority at all. It's about balance. It's about making room for both you and someone else. It's about giving other people the space and the grace to live their lives, and then giving yourself the same. Let me take the example of my spiral around my friends going away for the weekend. First, I said let them, which helped me rise above the situation and the hurt that I felt. And saying let them helped me separate myself from the emotions I was feeling. And that's the first step. Because getting all emotional and spiraling and then blaming other people or trashing yourself, it's not going to magically improve your friendships. The superiority gave me the mental space to really look at the situation from above. And the more I said, let them, the more space I had to consider my role in this situation. And more importantly, what do I want to do about this? And when I stopped to look in the mirror, I saw a lot. I had been so busy working these past few years, I've barely seen my friends. I hadn't invited anyone to do anything in a very long time. Maybe I wasn't excluded. Maybe they didn't think of me at all. And if I'm not making an effort or reaching out or bumping into them around the neighborhood, why would they think of me? Plus, I've been so busy with my life and work and kids, unless I saw my old friends post online, I didn't think about them much either. No one owes me an invite. No one owes me a call. And yes, you deserve friends who reach out. But whose responsibility is it to create those friendships? And more importantly, let me be honest with myself. Have I been doing my part? And when I detached from my emotions and I stopped to ask myself that question, have I been doing my part? The answer was no. When you're an adult, your social life is your responsibility. If you want more fun, you should get your butt off the couch and create a great social life. And yes, I'm talking to myself here too. Let me stop expecting other people to include me. Let me take responsibility for what I want in life. Let me figure out the deeper issue that I need to look at. Let me be more proactive about reaching out to people. Let me invite people to do something this weekend. Let me throw a party for once. Let me develop better boundaries with work so I actually have time for friendship. Let me prioritize my social life because clearly it matters to me because I'm upset on the couch, but it's my responsibility to create one. Let me reach out to a few of these women to reconnect, not in a passive way, not to smooth things over, not to get an invite to their next getaway, but because once I said let them and let me, I rose above my emotion and I connected with the deeper truth that I actually really miss a few of these women. And seeing that post online made me realize that I work way too much and I want to make an effort to rekindle my friendship with them. And a few other people now that I'm thinking about it. And that's the power of this. Before the let them theory, I would have felt powerless. I would have given that one photo so much control over how I felt about myself for weeks, maybe even months. It would have impacted the way I felt about other people. The let them theory changed all that. By saying let them, I could detach from the spiral and let other people live their lives. And by saying let me, I could see that I actually had a lot of power. And there were limitless things that were within my control if I chose to do them. Now, after discovering the second part of the theory and the power of saying, let me, and focusing on what's in your control and taking responsibility for what you do in response to what's happening around you, my research led me to something even more exciting. And that is that the let them theory isn't just this mindset hack. Based on the research that I've done, it is deeply rooted and supported by ancient philosophies and psychological concepts that have guided people for centuries. If you're familiar with Stoicism, Buddhism, detachment theory, or radical acceptance, you're going to recognize that saying let them and then saying let me, it applies these teachings and turns them into a practical everyday tool that you can use to reclaim your personal power. It moves the intellectual into the tactical. That's why this is so powerful. So before we jump into the 8 core areas of your life that you're going to be using the let them theory, let's just take a second and dive a little deeper into how the theory is supported by things like Stoicism. In Stoicism, the focus is on controlling your own thoughts and actions, not the thoughts or actions of others. Now, this philosophy aligns perfectly with saying let them, which is about consciously allowing others to make their own choices and to live their lives without feeling the need to manage or influence their behavior. By saying let them and then saying let me, what you're doing is you're applying the core principle of Stoicism in real time. And that core principle is focus on yourself, because that's where your true power lies. Two other important foundational philosophies and psychological teachings kept coming up over and over and over, and that's Buddhism and radical acceptance, both of which teach that suffering comes from resisting reality. The pain you feel often stems from wishing things were different than they are. The let them theory helps you not only accept reality, but also it's a tool that helps you separate yourself from the need to change it. See, when you acknowledge that other people's actions and choices are not yours to control, in doing so, you reclaim your emotional freedom. This is radical acceptance in its most empowering form. Another concept that kept coming up over and over again is detachment theory, which is a psychological principle that teaches you how to emotionally distance yourself from situations that may trigger you or make you feel out of control. So when you say, let them, you're practicing emotional detachment. And one of the reasons why I love this is because oftentimes, I don't know about you, but these concepts and philosophies and psychological modalities, they're so intellectual that I understand them, but I don't know how to apply them. And that's why the let them theory is so powerful. It's a tool. When you say let them, you create a mental gap between your emotions and the situation at hand. And that allows you to observe what's happening without being consumed by it. The result? You remain calm, clear-headed, and in control of what you do next. And that is exactly what detachment theory is trying to teach you. But it's the let them theory that will help you apply it. I love this. And one more thing I wanted to say, because I saw this coming up a lot in the research too, and that is this concept of just letting it go. For me personally, the let them theory is not at all the same thing as, quote, letting it go. And here's why. I've personally never been able to let anything go. Because when I say, oh, just let it go, Mel, it never feels resolved or complete. It kind of feels like you've just walked away from something that's bothering you and you've swallowed your feelings and you've moved on because you have no choice but to do it. You know what I mean? When you say let them, it's different. Because when you say let them, you're not giving up or walking away. I heard somebody say, it's almost like you're allowing it, but you're not allowing it. And that's right. Because what you're truly doing is you're freeing yourself from it. You're releasing that grip that you have on how things should go and allowing them to unfold as they will go. And that is way more empowering than just going, all right, I'll just let it go. Oh, no, 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 no. We're going to let them. Boom. The beauty of the let them theory is that it helps you master and apply these practices in real time in your day-to-day life by simply saying two words, let them, or saying, let me. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And that means something really cool. You can finally stop being ruled by your emotions and start living a more peaceful and intentional life. I mean, doesn't that sound good? Of course it does. I'll tell you what else, though. It feels even better. Now, before we dive in and go further, two warnings. As I was researching this book, two really important questions kept coming up repeatedly from people who were learning about the let them theory online and who were starting to apply it. And so I want to address them right now before we dive into the rest of the book, where we look at 8 different areas of your life where you're going to use the let them theory for the greatest impact. Now, the first question that people kept asking was, Mel, does the let them theory apply to kids? The answer is yes. You can absolutely use the let them theory with your kids, with some very important caveats. But this book is specifically focused on how you apply the theory with adults and in adult relationships. Now, throughout the book, I make very clear distinctions between adults and children in order to avoid any confusion. But if you're looking for more guidance on how to use this approach with children, teens, and young adults, because let's face it, you can't just let them or else they're going to be running in the middle of the streets and eating popsicles for dinner. You got to be the adult. But it does apply and it can help you create deeper and more loving relationships with your kids. So I've included a very special guide in the appendix at the end of the book that will break this down in detail for you. The second question that I kept seeing is, what do I do if I'm using the let them theory and it's making me feel lonely? Now, this is a really critical point that I wanted to highlight because some people have shared that they feel lonelier after using the let them theory. If you're feeling this way, it's a sign of two things. Number one, you're applying the theory incorrectly because the let them theory has two essential steps. The first step, saying let them. The second step, you got to say let me. Because let me is where your power lies. Let me is where you see that you're responsible for your next move. And let me is where you see all of the things that you could do that are going to help you create the life or the relationships or the connections that you want. And without this step, you will find yourself disconnected rather than feeling empowered. If all you do is say let them, you're going to find yourself without a lot of friends, without a lot of social plans, and you're going to be confused. Why isn't this working? And there's one other twist to this that I also want to highlight, and that is your behavior with people that you care about. Because let them is also not an excuse to stop answering your phone, or to shrug your shoulders, or to refuse to talk it out with a friend or a family member who's hurt. It's never an excuse to say let them and stay in a situation that hurts you, or to ignore discrimination or dangerous behavior. Let them is not a license to give someone the silent treatment, or ghost people, or avoid hard conversations, or withdraw from your relationships, because it's not meant to leave you feeling alone or invisible. And it's not an excuse to avoid the hard conversations, because it's meant to leave you more connected and more fulfilled in every single one of your relationships. The theory is here to make your life better, not worse. And it will when you use it correctly. So I'm going to remind you one last time. Always remember to say, let me. Because that's the part that changes your life and makes your relationships better. And this was something I had to learn. Because when I started using the let them theory, I saw how often I blamed someone else for the fact that I was alone sitting on my couch, or not making the money I wanted to make, or how often I said yes due to guilt and then was mad at the person for making me feel guilty because I didn't want to disappoint someone else, or how often I used the excuse of being too tired to make my health or fun a priority. The let them theory taught me that when you're an adult, your life and your happiness and health, healing, social life, friendships, boundaries, needs, success, they are all your responsibility. If you've been secretly hoping someone else would come and rescue you, fix your problems, pay your bills, create a social life, heal your wounds, change into your dream partner, or motivate you to be your best, it's not going to happen. No one is coming. And any time you spend blaming other people or waiting for permission or some invitation to come, wasted. Those days are over. Got it? Good. Because now that I've given you the warning, let me give you the great news. Your life is going to change, and it's going to change immediately, because the let them theory is the key to taking your power back. So let me tell you what's going to happen with the rest of the book. The rest of the book is divided into two big sections, and the one we're about to jump into is all about you and the let them theory, and how you have created four major obstacles that are standing in the way of all your success, your health, your happiness, and your dreams. The second half of the book is dedicated to using the let them theory to improve your relationships. In the next two chapters, we're going to focus on how you've allowed other people to create unnecessary stress in your life. And I'm going to teach you, using the let them theory and some incredible research from an amazing physician at Harvard Medical School, to stop allowing other people's behaviors, opinions, drama, etc. to stress you out. Because you, my friend, have way bigger fish to fry And learning to manage your stress, it's not only the easiest way to learn how to use the let them theory, it's also the fastest way to learn how to protect your peace and find more power. So let's jump in. Chapter 3. Shocker, life is stressful. All right, now that we got the basics covered, you know what it is, you know how to use it, and you're starting to understand the foundation and the science and the reason why this thing is so effective. In these next two chapters, you and I are going to dig into one of the ways that you have made other people a major problem in your life, and that's by allowing their behavior to stress you out. Now, luckily, the fastest and most effective way to start using the let them theory is to learn how to rise above the countless tiny stressors that you're going to face every day. You and I are going to dig into the fact that other people can be really annoying and they stress you out. And what you're about to learn, though, is something really cool. Other people's behavior and their attitude and their inconsiderate ways of moving through the world doesn't have to cause stress for you. In fact, it shouldn't. And using the let them theory, you're going to learn how to rise above the countless tiny stressors that you face every single day. You know the ones I'm talking about, the never ending notifications on your phone. Oh my gosh, the slow internet connections, the unexpected change in plans, the endless meetings at work, the inconsiderate behavior of other people, long lines, slow walkers, close talkers. These small annoyances may seem insignificant, but they're not. And look, I get it. People can be annoying, like really annoying. And you're right, you got a lot on your plate. Modern life sometimes feels like a death by a thousand cuts. It's just one thing after another. It's slowly draining your energy. It's stressing you out. It's not only easy to let everything get to you, it's dumb. You'll never reach the full potential of your life if you continue to allow stupid things or rude people to drain your life force energy. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources. Just stop and ask yourself, why do you have to let a long line at a coffee shop ruin your day? Why does traffic put you in a bad mood? Why do you need to get overwhelmed when someone interrupts you during an important task? Does the person talking loudly on their phone in public have to irritate you so much? Or why does a certain family member's unsolicited advice always feel like a personal attack? Why does someone else's slow pace in a busy walkway make you feel like a caged animal? It's unbelievable how the simplest things can just turn into these big stressors. I mean, just the other day, I went to my favorite garden center to pick up some plants. And while I was there, the cashier was moving so slowly. There are only two lanes open. There are like 5 people waiting in each. It's like beep, beep, and then pausing for some mindless small talk. Beep, beep. I started to feel myself getting agitated. I had a meeting to get back home to, but I had plenty of time. And you know what I wanted to do? I felt myself wanting to turn to the person behind me. You know that thing we all do where we get annoyed in the line, we turn to somebody and shake our head and we're like, can you believe this? But I didn't. I hesitated. And I said, let them. The effect was immediate. I softened. I felt lighter. I felt the tension disappear. Did it speed up the cashier? Nope. It did something better. It protected me from this habit of letting little things become big stressors in my day-to-day life. I mean, the extra 10 minutes that this line was going to take, it's not going to negatively impact the rest of my day. But allowing myself to get all agitated and annoyed and entitled about something that I can't control, now that would impact the rest of my day. Why get stressed about things beyond your control or that don't really matter? Why let something so small have such a large impact on you? When you let the world around you impact your emotional state and peace of mind, you become a prisoner to these external forces. That's why you feel out of control. That's why you're so exhausted, because you're letting trivial nonsense dictate your mood and drain your motivation and steal your focus. There's this famous quote about life from Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. What does that mean exactly? It means that your personal power is in how you react. And what I'm excited about is I've got a lot of research to share with you. I've got an incredible expert from Harvard Medical School who's going to unpack this topic in a profound and extremely important way. Because one of the reasons why it's hard to manage your stress is that your reaction to what's happening around you, it's automatic. You don't even realize it before your body goes on edge. It's like you get so swept up in the emotion and the irritation that next thing you know, you're sending a text you regret, or you're saying something in the heat of the moment that you don't really mean, or you're taking your stress out on your family, or you're standing there in a really long line of people and the anger and the annoyance and frustration is just building and building, even though you wish it wouldn't. These are all examples of how stressful and irritating situations become a big problem. You can't control what's happening around you, but you can learn how to control your response to it. And nowhere is this more evident than at an airport. I mean, in fact, if you want to feel stress, just go to one. From check-in to security lines to people losing their minds over weather delays, missing baggage, putting their feet on the seats, people crowding the gates before they even start the boarding process, tight connections, getting rerouted, all the overhead space taken up by the time you board. Thanks, guys. Long lines at the rental counter. The number of things that could stress you out at an airport, oh my God, it's endless. In fact, just hearing me list those things off, you probably started feeling stressed. But let's use this fact to our advantage. Let's use it as an example to help you understand what you can control and what you can't control. Because let's go back to one of the fundamental principles we're going to talk about throughout this entire time together. You can't control what other people think, do, or say. And anytime you try to, you will lose your power. You must focus on what you say, think, or do, because that's how you're going to remain in control, and that's how you're going to dial down the stress in your life. Because no matter what's happening on a plane or at the airport, you still have the power. Let me tell you a story. A few months ago, I was on a plane and the guy right behind me was coughing as if it was his last day on earth. You know, that deep chest hack that is bound to get everyone around them sick? I didn't think anything of it for the first few minutes, but when it continued on, and then he started clearing his throat, and then he kept coughing, I started to get annoyed. I mean, I was flying to an event where I had to give a speech, and over the next couple of weeks, I was speaking at a number of big events. I could not afford to get sick and lose my voice. So I turned around to look through that little crack between the seats, and I saw him just open mouth coughing into the air as if no one else was on this plane. And I thought, is this guy going to get me sick? What a selfish and rude couple words I'm not going to say in this book. I can't get sick. So I considered my options. Being passive aggressive, not going to solve anything. And as much as I kept like huffing and puffing in my seat, have you ever done that? You know, and you like then turn around and glare at him between the cracks, hoping that that evil eye contact is somehow going to send a message? Well, he was either not picking up on my clues or, more likely, he didn't care. I considered, okay, I could flag over the flight attendant and start complaining, but the dude was sitting right behind me, so he'd hear me, which would feel really weird. So I decided to turn around like a mature adult and just ask him politely, "Sir, could you please cover your mouth when you're coughing?"
Coughs in her face.
There was an awkward pause. He nodded and then proceeded to cough openly for the rest of the plane ride.
Oh.
I know this because I kept turning around and looking through the crack between the seats. Obviously, you feel bad for the guy. It's not like he wants to be sick. I mean, when you have to cough, you have to cough. But in the heat of the moment, I was getting more and more annoyed at this dude. I was not only stressed out, but it was now ruining my mood and making it impossible for me to try to get some work done. Now, one of the experts that I interviewed while researching this book is Dr. Aditi Nerurkar. She's a physician at Harvard Medical School. She's the best-selling author of The 5 Resets, Rewire Your Brain and Body for Less Stress and More Resilience. Dr. Aditi was the medical director at Harvard's Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital's integrative medicine program, where she developed an enormous clinical practice in stress management using evidence-based integrative approaches to help her patients feel better. I reached out to Dr. Aditi because I wanted to understand what is stress, what can we do about it, and how can the let them theory help. Dr. Aditi was quick to say, look, stress is a much bigger problem in your life than you realize. See, according to Dr. Aditi, stress causes you to doubt yourself, to procrastinate, to burn out, doom scroll. It'll make you struggle with comparison. If you're having trouble focusing or feeling happy or taking care of yourself, Dr. Aditi says the reason is stress. Dr. Aditi also told me that these are some signs that you're chronically stressed. If your inner critic is louder than ever, if you're struggling with procrastination, if you're constantly tired, if you can't put your phone down, if you have trouble disconnecting from work, as a medical doctor, she's here to tell you it's all because of stress. And then Dr. Aditi.
No, it's all because of you, Mel.
Stress isn't just a feeling. In fact, it's way bigger than just the tension that you feel in your body. Dr. Aditi wants you to know that stress is a physiological state in your brain. And this is a very important thing for you to understand, because what's happening when you get stressed is the stress is actively hijacking the proper functioning of your brain. And as a medical doctor, she went on to explain that normally, like when you're focused and you're calm and you're able to be present, normally your prefrontal cortex is in control. And this is the part of the brain that helps you run your day-to-day life. It helps you plan and organize and remember things, and it guides your decision making. And to be the best version of yourself, you need to leverage this part of your brain. Now, here's the problem with stress. Dr. Aditi said that the second you and I feel stressed, whether it's from the guy coughing on the plane or the line that's taking too long or the test results that you're waiting on, your brain goes into this stress response, and the prefrontal cortex that's so important is no longer in control, and neither are you. She explained to me that your stress response is located in a completely different part of your brain called the amygdala. And Dr. Aditi described the amygdala as this small almond-shaped structure that's deep in your brain. It's kind of located in the middle between your ears. And it's one of the oldest structures of the human brain. And many refer to it as our reptilian brain because it houses your stress response. If you've ever heard someone refer to the fight, flight, or freeze response, Dr. Aditi says, medically speaking, that's the exact same thing as saying your stress response. And what it means is that your amygdala is now in control. And when your amygdala is in control, it causes rash decision making and more impulsive behaviors. And so let me unpack this a little bit more, because when she started to go, Mel, stress is about your brain and different modes of your brain being in control, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. Dr. Aditi says when life is normal and you're feeling good, your prefrontal cortex, which is basically behind your forehead, that's what's driving most of your decisions. And it means that you can think logically through the pros and cons of a situation, and you can make well thought out decisions. In other words, you can choose how you're going to respond. But whenever something happens and you feel stressed, and it doesn't matter what it is, this is where you and I get in trouble, because the response in our bodies and our brain, automatic. Car cuts in front of you, automatic. Long line and you feel tension, automatic. Someone says something dismissive, automatic. The guy coughing on the plane, automatic. The person who's not texting you back and now you're worried that they're mad at you, stress response, automatic. Your amygdala is now in charge. And here's the problem. Dr. Aditi says this part of your brain has one job: survival and self-preservation. When your brain and body kicks into that fight or flight stress response, you're only designed to stay in that state for really short periods of time. You and I are supposed to then reset back to normal functioning. And that means that your prefrontal cortex is back in control, and you can now feel calm and confident again. So I naturally asked her, well, Dr. Aditi, what happens if your brain doesn't reset and you start to feel on edge all the time, or you feel stressed out all the time? And this is the real reason you're exhausted all the time. Because according to Dr. Aditi, based on the research, 7 out of 10 people are currently living in a chronic state of stress. I used to be one of them. When you live in a chronic state of stress, Dr. Aditi said, medically speaking, it means your body and brain is locked in a constant state of fight or flight. It means your stress response has flipped on and it hasn't turned off. And Dr. Aditi told me that when you're stressed, you not only feel like you're in survival mode, but from a neurological standpoint, your brain actually is in survival mode. And that means your goals, your dreams, your best self, your ability to be present and patient and non-reactive, your ability to be happier and more connected with the people that you love, it just goes right out the window. Which is why you and I have to solve this problem. And we also need to stop allowing other people and the stuff outside of us to create so much unnecessary stress inside of us. There's just too much at stake. You deserve to live a good life, but you'll never be able to if you stay stuck in survival mode. This was life-changing information for me, to understand that stress wasn't just this big feeling thing, but that there was something going on in my brain that I actually had control of and that I could change. Because the fact is, if you've got some really important project, like a book you're working on, or a song you're trying to write, or a room that you just want to clean out so you can have a home office, you're actually not going to do the project this weekend. Because you're going to procrastinate because your brain is locked in a state of chronic stress. I mean, it makes sense, right? You're not incapable. Your brain's stress response is on. That's all that's happening. And more importantly, you can do something about it. Like, you know, you need to have more fun. You know, you need to prioritize friendship. But have you noticed? You don't allow yourself to. Why? Because you can't disconnect from work. Because you're too tired because you're always online. And you want to be more present and connected with your spouse, but you're never going to be if you're always in a state of fight or flight. And this isn't your fault. And that's what I love so much about what Dr. Aditi's research and what you can do with the let them theory is going to provide you. It's not your fault, but there are simple things that you can do to notice when your stress response is on and flip it off. And I want you to, because the life you've always wanted, it's right in front of you, but you will never reach for it if your inner critic is constantly telling you not to. And that's why chronic stress is a major problem, and it's time that you and I deal with it. So I asked Dr. Aditi, I'm like, got it, I'm in, tell me, how do we reset our brains back to normal functioning? And she said, the first step is super easy. You just have to understand what stress actually is so that you know that you have power in these situations, and you also understand what you're dealing with from a medical perspective. For me, and I hope for you, it's so empowering to learn that stress is your body and your brain switching between two functions. Isn't it kind of cool to know that you can switch back to normal functioning and that it's not that hard to do? And you can use the let them theory to do it? And so we already got the first step covered, you and me. We understand what stress is, and we understand why it's important to reset it. Then Dr. Aditi said you can use the let them theory to reset your stress response. And just think about this like an on-off switch, right? It's a little lever you can switch off inside your brain whenever something happens that stresses you out. Just think about me in that slow line. Beep, beep, beep. As soon as I said, let them, I'm signaling to my brain that it's okay. This isn't worth stressing about. You're actually telling your amygdala to turn off. And you're resetting that stress response by detaching from the negative emotion you feel. And here's how you can do it step by step. The moment anything happens that starts to stress you out, just say, let them, and put yourself in pause. And then you're going to say, let me, and take a breath. Let me take another breath. Slow your stress response. Calm your body and brain down. Take control and regain your power. And it would be easy to just dismiss this and be like, this seems pretty insignificant. But I promise you, this one change, it's going to turn you into a different person. Catching your stress response and saying, let them. And then saying, let me. It empowers you to choose what you say, think, and do instead of just allowing the emotion to hijack you. That means no more rage texts or snapping at your loved ones or wasting hours crafting one of those emails that you're then going to hit reply all on, complete waste of time, just stressed you out. The fact is, not every email warrants a response, and not every conversation needs your participation. And you do not always have to have the last word. In fact, remember, your silence can never be misquoted. What you're going to see when you start to use the let them theory in moments where you're stressed is that a lot of what used to set you off just isn't worth your time and energy. And the less you react to things around you by saying, let me, the more in control you feel. Dr. Aditi said that taking deep breaths is scientifically proven to help you lower your stress response. She explained that breathing in fully and feeling the air expand your belly, it stimulates the vagus nerve, which then sends a message directly to your brain that says, we can calm down now. And by saying, let me, and resetting your stress response, you're now back in control. And you get to choose how to intentionally respond. And on that note, let's go back to me on the plane, with the guy who's coughing behind me, because I'm sitting there strapped to this seat and I'm getting more and more stressed. And now I can't focus on the work I need to get done. And I'm starting to feel like this caged animal sitting there in my seat. So it begs the question, how do you use the let them theory to get someone to stop coughing? You don't. You have to let them cough. I know. Hear me out. Yes, it was stressing me out. Yes, I thought he was rude for not covering his mouth. And yeah, I was worried about getting sick. But let's come back to control. How could I control the situation? Well, I couldn't control whether or not another person is coughing. I could only control how I respond to coughing. And focusing on what you can't control, like this dude coughing with his mouth open, it just made me stressed out. But focusing on what you can control, now that makes you powerful. And that brings me to another important point. Who is responsible for me not getting sick? Me? Or this stranger on a plane? Me. I'm responsible for my health. It's not this guy's responsibility to stop coughing because I want him to. It's my responsibility to respond in a way that takes care of my needs. And look, I know what you're thinking. Well, shouldn't everyone cover their mouths? Shouldn't everybody wash their hands? Shouldn't everyone just follow basic guidelines of decency? Well, of course they should. But a lot of people don't. And my point is this. Trying to manage everyone else or turn yourself into like the decency police or getting into a situation and worrying about it that's beyond your control, that just causes you more stress. Sure, I could get mad. I could keep turning around. I could yell at the flight attendant. I could get frustrated and scream at the guy. But to what end? I mean, isn't there a more obvious and powerful solution right in front of my face? See, with the let them theory, I'm offering you a very pragmatic and strategic approach to life. Instead of getting enraged in my seat, I just let him cough. And then I said, let me. Let me focus on the simple things I can do to protect myself. And I thought, I'm just going to cover my nose and my mouth with my scarf. And then I'm going to put my headphones on and I'm going to drown out the coughing. And that's what I did. And with the scarf over my nose and my mouth, I turned up my music and my headphones. Problem solved. Stress gone. Every time you say, let them, you acknowledge that you can't control this situation. And that means it's not worth it. When you say, let me, you're now following Dr. Aditi's advice and you're focusing on what you can control, which is your response to these stressful and annoying situations. Dr. Aditi confirmed the let them theory is like a sigh of relief for your stressed out brain. It helps you reclaim control over your anxious thoughts so that your brain and your body can finally get out of survival mode and back to thriving. Let me explain why this matters. If you allow yourself to get completely stressed out all the time in all kinds of situations, you're giving your power to other people. Now, in the past, I would have allowed this guy to stress me out. I would have gotten zero work done. I would have been exhausted by the time the plane landed. Then I would have called my poor husband to complain about this idiot who ruined my entire flight. I probably would have told the story over dinner that night with the clients who had hired me to speak at the event in the morning. I would have gone on and on and on about how infuriating this situation was for me, all of which would have left me feeling even more stressed out, more worked up, and even more drained. And I'm explaining this in detail because I want you to see what a problem this is. When you let other people's behavior stress you out, you surrender your power to things that are either beyond your control or that just don't matter. And often it spirals into other areas of your life for hours, for weeks, and sometimes even years. If you want to achieve your goals, be more present, feel more confident, be happier, you must stop allowing other people to stress you out. Because in life, there will always be things you can control and things that you can't. There will be situations that are fair and situations that are not. You get to decide what stresses you out and for how long. What Dr. Aditi's research proves is that learning to protect your energy will improve your mood, your mindset, health, focus, and your ability to disconnect and unplug. I believe this is one of the reasons why so many people get the words let them tattooed on their body within days of learning about this theory. When you see the words let them tattooed on your arm, it serves as a reminder that your peace is worth protecting. There's just this certain kind of confidence that comes with knowing that other people, they can't disrupt your peace. And you're going to love feeling that way. It's so empowering. But let's take it up a notch. A stranger coughing on a plane, that's a pretty straightforward situation because eventually you're going to get off the plane. You're going to move on with your life. So it's easy to use the let them theory then. But what about those situations when it's not clear what you should do or what the right response is? How do you use the let them theory when your stress is coming from a much bigger thing, like your job? Chapter 4. Let them stress you out. What about practicing let them and let me when it comes to something or someone that triggers your stress response every single day? According to research, work is the number one cause of life stress for most people. And your manager has as much of an impact on your mental health as your spouse. Now, I'm sure I didn't need to tell you that because as rewarding as work can be, it's filled with stress. From 4 p.m. meetings on a Friday to dealing with rude customers, passive aggressive emails, a micromanaging boss, doing work that you don't enjoy, feeling unappreciated, seeing no opportunity for advancement, false promises, surprise layoffs, or being completely understaffed and having extra work on your plate. It's always something at work. And if you're like me and you've started your own business or you're just trying to be a good manager, just double that list. So how do you use the let them theory? to not allow work stress to stress you out. For example, what if you've been doing a great job? You're hitting all your numbers, you're going above and beyond, and your boss just isn't promoting you. And every time you ask for an update, you get that stereotypical response, oh, the company's profits are down this year and my hands are tied. But you add so much value to this team, lip service. It sucks. You feel frustrated and discouraged and powerless. Maybe you feel hostile or demoralized. Dr. Aditi says this is why she's seeing burnout in record numbers right now. People are stuck in a chronic state of stress at work. They can never log off. They're always on video meetings, which means they never have any time to get their work done. And then she pointed out, your stress at work is not changing. So you need to change your approach to dealing with it. I know when I've felt stuck or overwhelmed at work, or I hated my job, or I wasn't making the money that I needed to make, that's exactly how I felt, chronically stressed. Plus, the fact that you need your paycheck to pay your bills, oh my gosh, that only makes you feel more stressed out and stuck and powerless. But as overwhelming as your work may be right now, you are not powerless. So how do you use the let them theory to get your boss to give you the promotion you deserve? You don't. Let them string you along. I know it's tough to hear because, yeah, it's true. It's not fair. You've earned the promotion. And yeah, you deserve to be angry about it. And I would be too. But let me ask you this question. Who is responsible for your career? You or your boss? That's right. You are. Besides, you can't control if your boss is going to promote you or give you a raise or even move you to the cubicle that's closer to the window. And no matter how much hard work you've put in or how many compliments you've received, you have no idea what the P&L looks like or what the projections look like for the business. And besides, the decision, it's up to them. So if you're in a situation where you've put in the effort, you've had the conversation, you've asked for the salary increase, you've hit your numbers, and you're still waiting for that promotion or the title change or the new desk or a better work from home policy, it's not coming. You have to stop being mad and choose what you're going to do about it. Because guess what? If you let your emotions get the best of you, it's going to make you crazy. And worse, the stress of this situation is going to take over, and you're not going to be able to think strategically about making your next move. You cannot afford to let the stress of this make you stupid. You got to be smart about how you're going to respond. And that's where let me comes in. That's where the power is. Because if something at work is out of your control and you've done everything you can to try to influence it, it is dumb to waste any more of your time trying to change this situation. And it's even dumber to constantly let it stress you out. You're way smarter than this. Your life and the possibilities in it, they're always bigger than your current job. You are never stuck. That's a lie you're telling yourself. You can leave a job, a relationship, a living situation, a date, an interview.
Amanda, thank you for the sub. CJ, Vaughn Loper,
Instead,
JJ,
you're sitting there with your boss,
Doris,
who you flip off
all you
every
guys, thank
time
you
the
so
video
much,
call
guys.
rings. Oh, that's powerful. That's going to get you the raise. You don't have
Where's
to
the
stay in a
chat
job that
shaking?
makes you feel frustrated, demoralized, or stressed, and you shouldn't. Let them string you along. It's time for the let me part. Stop fixating on your current situation and start focusing on finding a better opportunity. Right now, there's an amazing job with a kick-ass boss, a better salary, a work-from-home policy, a desk next to a window, just waiting for you to come find it. Your company is not the only company on the
CJ,
planet.
thank you.
There's a million bosses out there who would be ecstatic to help you advance your career. Let me go get it. Is it hard to find a job? Yes. Can it take forever? Mm-hmm. Do you dread the idea of updating your resume? Absolutely. Is getting out there and networking intimidating? Yes, it is. Your career is your responsibility, and you have way more power here than you think. It's time to start acting like it. You've got so many options available to you. Here's one. Let me choose to spend my weekends differently. Instead of blowing off steam at the bars with your friends and complaining about work, how about you pour your time and energy into doing the work to find a job you deserve? Yes, it may take you 6 months to land something amazing, but those 6 months, they're going to go by whether you do nothing or you go after what you want. And consider this, if you stay in that job, who controls your future? That's right, your boss, Steve. But if you update your resume and you start networking and you go on some interviews, who's in control now? That's right, you. So you have a choice. You can act like a toddler and call your boss every name in the book. But the harsh truth is, you're the one to blame because you're choosing to stay in a job that makes you miserable. And that's on you. And you want to know what else, Roger? Your dumb excuses for why you're not fit for another job. There's so much more power, start acting. Because from than anywhere in your life. And that's why at the very end of this audio, in the appendix, you're going to find a free guide that you can download for how you can use the let them theory at work. Whether you're working a shift job or you're part of a high performing team or you yourself are the boss, there are endless ways you can use the let them theory to increase your influence, your revenue, and your potential and enjoyment at work. There are so many moments in my career that I wish I had had that pep talk. You have it now. So go use the let them theory and go land the job you deserve. Now, one topic that I want to address in greater detail is how you can determine in any situation that's stressing you out what the right response is for you. Because the let them part, that's obvious. When you say let them, you stop trying to control what someone else is doing. You stop allowing situations outside yourself to stress you out. And then when you say, let me, you take responsibility for how you respond to it, which in some situations isn't always obvious. See, every situation is different. And learning how to choose what type of response is worth your time and energy and what isn't, that is going to change your life. And the more that you use the let them theory, the better you're going to be at seeing options. But I have a story that's going to help you and I talk about how you can choose the right response for you. So the other day, I was taking our dogs for a walk at this really popular spot at a local state park. And so I pull into the parking lot and I see the local park ranger and the dogs jump out. So I stop to talk to the ranger and he's petting my two dogs and we're chatting it up. And as we're talking, he mentions, be sure to keep your dogs on a leash and pick up their poop because there have been a lot of complaints recently that people are letting their dogs run free and that they're not getting picked up after by their owners. And it was getting to the point where they may close the trails to dogs. I'm like, what? You're kidding. So I kind of settled myself and I thanked him for sharing that information. And of course, I assured him I'm not one of those people and I would be following the rules. And as I'm walking down the trail, about 100 feet ahead of me, I notice this person. And she's got her dog off the leash, just running all over the place and jumping up on people and running up at other dogs. And I start to get annoyed. I could feel the stress response rise up. It's like, it always starts like right in my stomach. It's like a volcano. It's like, I can almost feel that switch and my amygdala turns on. I'm no longer enjoying my walk in the woods with my dogs. I'm now laser focused on this dog and its owner. And I'm getting more and more annoyed that this is exactly what the park ranger was talking about. And this one idiot is going to get us all banned from being here, a place that I love to come and walk. I kept saying, let them. And it worked for about the first 5 times I said it. But then her dog crouched right there on the middle of the trail and went number 2. And I watched in horror as this owner walks over and kicks some leaves over it instead of picking it up in a doggy bag and removing it. That was it. That was it. I went from feeling stressed out to anointing myself as the dog police in 5 seconds flat. Now, this brings me to an important aspect of using the let them theory. Your response to every situation is going to be unique and different every single time. There are going to be days where I just don't have the energy to chase this woman down and hand her a doggy bag and ask her to pick it up and explain the implications of what's going on and just request that she do her part. And there are going to be days where I run like an Olympic sprinter and I chase her down and I do exactly that. And there will be those times when I just shrug my shoulders. I say, let them. And I know it's just not worth my time and energy. And when I get to the point where the dog has made its mess, I'll let me be the bigger person and I'll take a baggie and I'll pick it up and then I'll smear it all over her car in the parking lot. That last part was a joke. Well, maybe not. But I'll tell you, that's what I often feel like doing when I see people do this. I don't want to have to pick up after other people. But here's the thing. I like being the kind of person who cares about leaving public spaces in good shape for everyone to enjoy them. I love knowing that I leave places better than I found them. And I like acting like a leader, even when it's not my job to do so. But there will be other days where I just don't have the energy. And the best course of action is just turn around, walk back out to the parking lot, and either get in my car and go home or track down the park officer and wait with them until this woman comes back and report her to the ranger so he can deal with her. Every single one of these let me options are available to me and to you. And I bet as you were listening to this story, you may have even thought of other options that I have. The point here is that every situation is different, but one thing will always be the same. You get to choose how you respond. I'll never be able to stop that lady from letting her dog poop in the middle of the trail, but I can choose what I do in response to it. I get to choose who I'm going to be and how I'm going to show up. And that's a very powerful feeling. Every situation is going to be different based on how you feel and what's going on in your life right now, how much time you have, how important the issue is to you, what your values are, and what the most effective approach seems to be in this moment. Let me is an opportunity for you to put your time and your energy and your values at the center of your life. It's where you get to choose what's worth your attention and what isn't. And how do you decide what's right for you? I find it helpful in these stressful moments to just say, let them, and take a pause and consider, is this going to bother me in an hour? Is this going to bother me in a week? Or is this something that just really annoys me right now? Because if I'm still thinking about it an hour from now, I should do something. And if it's going to matter in a week or a year, then I definitely need to do something. Now, in the situation with this lady and her dog, I knew it would bother me every single time I walked my dog at that state park. And in most cases, you're going to know what's right for you. And that leads me to the next example, which is the perfect topic to follow poop, and that's politics. According to recent research, the majority of people around the world report feeling very stressed about the current state of world politics. I feel it, and how can you not? We live in a moment where we are more polarized than ever, and the stakes feel so high, and everyone seems so far apart and either so angry or so scared about where things are, or both. I mean, it's impossible to have a civil conversation with most people who have a different point of view because no one really wants to take the time to understand where the other person
Thank
is
you for the
coming
sub.
from. Everybody just wants to be right and have their side win. And it would be
Thank
so
you guys for
easy, given
listening
how
as well.
stressful
Everything.
and
Thank you guys.
polarized and
Game's going good.
disempowering politics can be at a
I
local,
lost though,
state,
but it's just
national, and
fun.
global level. It's so easy to just want to throw your hands up in the air and
It's
hide your
just
house and
something in
disengage
the
and
brain.
feel powerless to change the state of things.
That's
So
good. I
how do
love
you
that you're
use logic
enjoying it.
theory to change the state of politics at your local, national, or global level? You don't. The election's over. The school board has been decided. The Senate has voted. Let them.
No, I don't want to
Because
play
you
zombies
can't
right now.
change what just happened.
That's
So
good.
there is no use in wasting
My
any
mom
more of
has
your
a hard
energy or
copy.
time complaining about it, ruminating over it, feeling sad
Why
about
could
it.
I skip a few
But I
chapters?
never
Brandon.
said you couldn't change the future. Does it seem overwhelming right now? Yes. Does it feel like it won't make a difference? Yeah, sure does.
I like this
Do it
book, yeah.
anyway.
It's good.
Let me stay engaged. Let me be vocal on the issues I care about. Let me do something that can change the future of my
No
local,
problem.
national, or global politics. Don't sit around and wait for someone else to clean up the mess that you see. If it matters, and it always matters in a democracy,
Yeah, I love that she's the narrator.
Everyone else is waiting for.
Any big takeaway? Pretty much what the title is, Let Them.
That's the power of Let Me.
Just because like you can like retaliate so much, but in reality, it doesn't really do anything. Like two wrong actions don't make it right. So it's better to just let things happen naturally.
Can change the world.
This book is good.
It's the only thing that ever has.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Is one person.
And the next one is We Who Rest
And
with
if it
God.
bothers you enough, that person is
Yeah.
you. Something can always be done. You can make a difference.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't matter enough for you to get involved and stop complaining about it, it just stresses you out. And as you're learning, that's dumb. Talk is cheap. If it really bothers you, dedicate some time and energy to changing it. And to me, focusing on what I can do always makes me feel better. And over again, you're going to realize that too. That regardless of what situations and circumstances that you're going to find yourself in,
thank you.
and you start using the let them theory, you're going to realize that no matter how big the problem is or how stressful something feels, there's always something you can do. Through your actions and your attitude, you can do something to make it better. Even if that means just being kinder to the people that are around you today. That's the power of Let Me. You can't control everyone around you or the world at large or what people are doing at the park, but you can always control what you say, think, or do in response. And that's where true power lies. And the more you tap into that power inside you, the more you'll see all of the ways in which you've been sabotaging your own happiness and giving away all your power. And like me, can't get enough of it. Your time, your energy are paramount. Because where you spend your time and energy determines your experience of life. The let them theory really highlights this, and it's going to empower you to make better choices about what's worth your time and energy and what isn't. And this doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations or staying silent. It doesn't mean being a doormat and letting people walk all over you. Nor does it mean you have to pick up everybody's dog poop or run for political office. What it does mean is that you get to choose. You get to choose what impacts you and to what extent. You get to choose what you participate in and what you don't. You get to choose when a job or a relationship or an issue is worth fighting for and when it's time to leave. You get to choose. And that's why you are always in control of what happens next. So let's summarize what you've just learned in this section. Right now, you allow other people to create unnecessary stress in your life. The let them theory will teach you to protect your energy by not allowing minor or major irritations to control your life so you can focus on what truly matters. I want to highlight the current problem. See, the problem is that other people are going to do things all day that bother you, annoy you, or stress you out. It will happen. You can't control it. When you allow someone else's behavior to stress you out, you just gave other people power. That leaves you drained with no time and energy for yourself. Here's the truth. The truth is your body's stress response is automatic. And you're going to feel yourself getting annoyed. You're going to feel yourself getting frustrated. You're going to feel the anger or the agitation hit. This is normal. You can't control emotions that rise up inside you, but you can learn how to reset your stress response so your emotions don't hijack you. And the solution is to use the let them theory to protect yourself from the stress that other people have been causing you. Your power is in controlling your response to other people's behavior and to the annoying situations, to the emotions that you feel. When you say let them, you make a decision to not allow other people's behavior to stress you out or to bother you. When you say let me, you reset your stress response and take responsibility for how you respond. It's time to reclaim all your time and energy for what matters most to you. Okay, so that covers the first of the 4 ways you've turned other people into a major problem. The next 2 chapters, you're going to learn how to use the let them theory to stop fearing other people's opinions and start caring way more about your own. You're going to learn how to use the let them
Thank
theory
you.
to finally stop being so afraid of what everybody else thinks. All right. So we've removed all the unnecessary stress. Let's move on to the next way you're going to use the let them theory to improve your life. And that's to stop being afraid of what everybody else thinks. Chapter 5. Let them think bad thoughts about you. One of my favorite poets is Mary Oliver. And in her poem, The Summer Day, she asked this iconic question. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I don't know what your answer to Mary Oliver's question is, but I do know this. Whatever it is that you plan to do, other people are going to have an opinion about it. In the next few chapters, you're going to learn how to use the let them theory to stop allowing other people's opinions to hold you back from pursuing what you want to do and limiting the potential of your one wild and precious life. You have no idea how big of a problem this is, and neither did I. It's easy to put on a facade that you don't care what other people think, but the reality is we all do. Here's the truth. People will have negative opinions about you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to change this fact. And when you allow your fear of what other people think to stop you from doing what you want to do, you become a prisoner to other people's opinions. This fear impacts every aspect of your life. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you doubt yourself. It paralyzes you with perfectionism. It's the reason why you overthink everything. This is where that fear ends. It is time for you to give people the freedom to think whatever they want. Let them. It's time to set yourself free and let me make the small moves boldly and unapologetically that over time will transform your entire life. The let them theory was a gigantic wake-up call for me in this regard. I knew that I worried about other people's opinions. We all do. But I had no clue how big of a problem it was until I started saying let them. Let them judge. Let them disapprove. Let them have their opinions. Let them think bad thoughts. Let them talk about me behind my back. See, right now, you may not realize this, but you are moving through your life with other people's opinions as your roadmap. You take a left turn or a right turn based on what you anticipate other people might think or say, rather than making the turn you want to make. And when you navigate your life trying to predict what other people are going to think and say about you, you are giving your power away. Instead of overthinking every single move you make, what if you just let them think whatever the heck they want to think? I mean, imagine a world where you could just make decisions and not worry about it. It's life-changing to free yourself of this burden. Remember the fundamental law of human nature? You can't control what another adult says, does, or thinks. And when you try to, you'll regret it. The more you let them think what they want, the better your life gets. What if you just gave yourself permission to live your life and you gave other people permission to think whatever they want about it? What if you pour your time and energy into your hobbies, your habits, your happiness? Let me ask you this question. What change would you make if you weren't worried about being judged? What is something that you're afraid to admit that you want? What belief are you nervous to be more vocal about? What have you been too scared to try because you've never done it before? What challenge or race or adventure have you been secretly just yearning to do? What do you wish would happen at work, but you're just too afraid to ask? What conversations have you been avoiding? What picture have you been waiting to post? That last one really hits home for me. Let me tell you a story. 10 years ago, I was just getting started in the motivational speaking business, and I was brand new to the speaking industry. And like a lot of new businesses in the beginning, there was no money. To get started and to get my foot in the door, I would reach out to small women's conferences. I'd pitch myself to speak for free. And if you're starting a business or you've ever wanted to, or you've got a side hustle that you're working on, or you've started making money online, for example, through social media, you're probably nodding your head because you know exactly what I'm talking about. In the very beginning of starting anything, you're putting in a lot of work with zero return. I started getting frustrated that a year had gone by and I was getting better and better on stage and the audiences were getting bigger, but my bank account was getting smaller. Why? Well, because I was working a full-time job during the week and doing these speaking gigs for free on the weekends. This was during the period of time when my husband and I, we were struggling with massive financial debt. I mean, I'm talking $800,000 in debt. I was unemployed. My husband's restaurant business was going under. We had secured the business with our entire life savings. There were liens that had hit the house. I mean, I felt like I had failed at life with no hope of ever escaping the debt. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like this, but when you are struggling that much, the simplest things feel impossible. And for me, that meant getting out of bed or opening up the bills that have been piling up on the counters or putting a smile on my face and pretending like everything was okay. And here I was trying to get groceries on the table. So I was highly motivated to try to figure out how to make money as a motivational speaker. And so what I did is I asked a bunch of the more experienced speakers for advice on
Tomorrow,
how do
I'm
you start
going on a
getting paid,
walk.
which is what
I'm gonna
I
go to
recommend
the,
that
I'm
you
gonna
do
go
in
somewhere, I don't
whatever
know,
business,
go for
venture,
a
or side
walk,
hustle you dream
get out
of.
of the house for a bit,
See, every business has a formula.
you
Follow it.
know?
And I say that because one of
That'll
the
be
things I
nice.
see
Maybe
people
I'll
do
make some
too
TikToks while I'm
often is
out,
this belief that you need to be different. That is a fancy
take
way
a
to say
little
that
day
you're
trip.
afraid other people are going to think that you copied them. And this is yet another example of how your fear of what other people think is holding you back from following the most obvious, easiest, and most proven path to success. Stop it. Let them think you copied them because you did. And they copied the formula from someone else because they did. Formulas exist because they work time and time again. You don't need to worry about being different because you're going to make it unique because you will be putting yourself into the formula. Do not reinvent the wheel. Follow the formula and use it to your advantage, which is exactly what the experienced speakers told me to do. Every successful speaker was doing the exact same three things. And in any business that you want to launch, the successful people do the exact same three things. And until you do these exact same three things, you're not in the game. So here's what the experienced speakers told me to do. They're like, Mel, number one, you got to build a simple website with photos of you on a stage, plus a description of your keynote and the main takeaways from your talk. That's number one. I'm like, got it. Number two, get testimonials from a few event planners from your past events that you've spoken at. Doesn't matter that they didn't pay you. You were still there. It's legit. And then put those testimonials on your website. Got it. Then they said, and here's the most important part. Number three, you have to start posting about speaking online. Turn your social media into your marketing channel. Post photos from events, post content related to your speech, post photos with the event planners that are hiring you.
Do lives with
Social media
audiobooks.
is how people find you. Social media demonstrates that you're a player in this
Social
industry
media
now.
is
And social media is what's going to lead people to that one-page website so they can book you. That's the formula. Follow it, and you will start getting paid. So, armed with that advice, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Plus, the stakes were really high. I needed the money to get my family out of debt. I was very clear about what I needed to do. Did I follow the formula? Not really. No. Yeah, I created a website. I asked for a few testimonials, not from everybody because I was too afraid that they might be, thinking bad things about me, but I asked for a few testimonials. I put them on the website, but did I post on social media about my business? Nope. See, at the time, my social media was personal. It was filled with photos of my kids, pictures from family trips, the selfies that I was taking with friends. All of the people that followed me were either my family, my friends, or former classmates. I had never posted anything about my desire to become a motivational speaker or the fact that I had been doing it for free for over a year. And if you've ever wanted to use social media to launch a business or promote some new aspect of your life or to share your art, you know how hard it is to look at your current account that has only photos of your personal life and make a decision that you're going to turn this into a marketing channel. You want to know how long it took me to do that third step?
How long, Mel?
I want you to just stop and think, okay, how long did it take Mel
How long?
to follow this advice? It took me
17 years.
years
Oh.
to start posting about my speaking business on social media. Why? Because I was afraid of what people would think. And if you're thinking, well, who were you afraid of, Mel?
Yeah.
My friends.
What?
I'm worried that if I stopped posting photos of my kids and pictures from barbecues and get-togethers with extended family, and I started posting photos of me speaking at conferences, that people would judge me.
Are you okay,
That
Mel?
they would see a photo of me on my social media or online on a stage, and they'd say to themselves, who the heck does she think she is?
What is
Who the heck is hiring her to speak? I mean, what does she possibly have to say? What a phony.
What a phony.
I tried to post. Maybe you've had this experience too, where you create something to post, and then you just panic and you start to question it. I mean, I would literally thumb through my photos from the event I had just spoken at. I would select one or two photos, and then the fear would kick in. As I drafted the caption, I would start to feel worried about what other people's opinions would be.
Oh.
And then I would start to question myself. I bet you can relate to this. I'd literally be sitting there.
I can't.
About to post, I'd be like, wait,
I'm sorry.
Is too arrogant? Is this caption professional enough? If I post this, people are going to follow me. Will my friends think I'm full of myself? Should I start a separate account and just do this from scratch?
Nah.
And then I would convince myself, oh, it's not worth it to post it. I'll look at this later.
It's worth it.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I had burned through so much energy trying to craft the perfect, most
But
compelling, and
nobody
marketable
cares,
image and caption,
Mel.
something that would both promote me and ensure that no one would think a negative thought about me, that I exhausted myself. And since we just talked about unnecessary
Whose
stress,
problem was
you know
that?
that I was stressing myself out.
That was your issue.
Which was draining my energy and
So
draining
don't put
my
your
confidence.
issues on me, Mel.
I created hundreds of draft posts.
Nobody cares.
In my drafts for years.
Good for
and
you.
When I did get the jolt of confidence and I would post a post,
Oh.
I'd leave it up for like 5 minutes and then I would check it obsessively. And
you don't fucking say.
This stupid fear of what other people thought kept me from marketing my business.
How about you shut the hell up?
To make my full-time career for years.
Fuck.
I gave other people's opinions more weight and importance than my own ability to get ahead in life.
It's okay.
Talk about giving your power away.
It's life.
And when I look back at it now, it makes me sad.
I bet. You must hate yourself.
When I think about how you're stopping yourself right now from putting yourself out there, it makes me sad for you.
Well, it makes me sad for me too.
I stopped myself from taking the actions that would have helped me achieve my goals.
Nobody cares about your shitty goals.
Be able to buy nice things for my kids.
Fuck your
and
kids.
Get a lot more clients a lot faster.
That was too much.
Isn't that stupid?
It's stupid, but so are you.
Of course it's stupid. And yet, I'm sure you struggle.
Nobody send this to Mel.
When it comes to putting yourself out there in a new way or a bigger way, whether it's your business or your art or your music, or maybe you want to start a YouTube channel, or maybe it's just posting a photo of you in a bathing suit. Here's the truth. If you're censoring yourself, There's only one reason.
Why?
It's because you fear other people's opinions.
I don't give a fuck.
That's why you cover up your acne.
Shut up. I never had acne.
Standing on your good side in every photo.
I've never had a good
It's the
side.
same reason why you don't speak up at meetings at work.
I'll speak up to the President of the United States.
Online, you're afraid to look bad, and at work, you're afraid to sound bad. Same thing. You're afraid of what other people will think if they see the real you.
I pick my ass on live.
Here's the problem with this. Every time you edit what you post,
I've never edited.
Silent in class.
Never stayed silent.
Or you hide in the back of the group photo.
I was the class clown.
You are engaging in self-rejection.
I will never get engaged.
You're the one telling yourself that you're not good. And this constant questioning and editing and deleting and overthinking and putting on the filters and asking other people, does this look good? It only magnifies your self-doubt. And you want to know the crazy part?
What?
You're doing it to yourself. I did too.
Really?
And most advice on this topic, it sucks. Most people are going to tell you, stop caring about what other people think. But no one tells you how. It's easy to say, don't give an F. But it's impossible to do it. It's time for a new approach. Using the let them theory, you're going to learn a revolutionary approach to squashing this fear once and for all. And here it is. Give people the freedom to think negative. I want people to have no freedom. It is a radically beautiful idea.
We have different point of views
that I'm going to unpack in detail.
No.
And when you let people think negative thoughts about you, it frees your self-expression and it will catapult you into a whole new chapter of your life, your career, your happiness. This is amazing. Give people the freedom to think something negative about you.
No.
Let them.
I will make sure they don't.
It's science.
It's not science. Science is bullshit.
Over someone else's opinion of you.
Maybe Jesus Christ.
It is stupid to waste your time trying to manage it. The fact is, it's impossible to control someone else's thoughts. Therefore, fearing what other people think or trying to control their thoughts is a complete waste of your time. You will never feel in control of your life, your feelings, your thoughts, or your actions until you first stop being consumed with or trying to control what other people think about you. I'm going to say it again. People will have negative opinions about you, no matter what you do. Why? Because people are allowed to think whatever they want. In fact, let's just unpack this from a neurological standpoint.
Not my family.
It is physically and neurologically impossible for you to control what somebody thinks inside their own head.
I dare you to think whatever you want in my house now.
Has about 70,000 thoughts a day, most of which are completely random and cannot be controlled. Which is why it's ludicrous to waste any of your energy worrying about what other people think or try to change what they think.
I'm making called the fuck 'em theory.
Why the heck do you think you can control what pops up in someone else's mind?
Because I will make sure everyone looks at me as King William.
Theory is revolutionary. Instead of fearing other people's opinions,
I don't fear it. I do it.
You're just going to allow them to think what they want. In fact, I recommend that you assume people will think negative thoughts about you. Because people do have negative thoughts about you. This is normal. And by the way,
it's not normal in my world.
Who love you
no.
think bad thoughts about you every single day. I have bad thoughts about the people I love every day. This is normal, and I'm going to prove it to you. So I'm going to go first and give you some examples, okay? When my husband Chris wakes up, he usually lets out this huge fart. It's like, it's like a duck or something. It's this weird, like, sound.
Gosh.
My first thought, that's disgusting.
That's when you eat his ass.
Than any other human being on the planet.
Yeah.
But I have bad thoughts and negative opinions about him.
Don't act like you don't love his farts, Mel.
PM. Our dog homie, so annoying because it's dinner time. He follows me around. He pants like crazy. He jumps up on me. And you know what I think? He's a giant pain in the ass. He needs to chill out.
Yeah.
He's too needy.
Sure.
Those are negative thoughts.
Yep.
but I still love him. My oldest daughter, Sawyer, who I wrote this book with, is a complete control freak. And when things aren't just right, she gets so overbearing and so intense, and she goes into this OCD spiral, and it just stresses everyone else out. It's so annoying. But I still love her. Every time our middle daughter, Kendall, FaceTimes me from Los Angeles, it feels like she's wearing a new outfit. I think she's irresponsible with her money. And the last thing that she needs is more clothing. But I still love her. And our son, Oakley, well, Oakley's literally.
You ever think of not loving her?
For the first hour Oakley is awake, he refuses to make eye contact and speak to people.
I don't know.
I think he is rude.
I don't know.
But I still love him. And by the way, I asked my kids and my husband,
I don't know.
Some adjectives that you think about me. You ready? Messy, disorganized, loud, over-friendly, all over the place, controlling, always late. She's a know-it-all. And they also have a lot of opinions about how much I share online about our life. And yet, they still love me. Sawyer also wanted you to know that the experience of writing this book at times was so frustrating. I nearly drove her to sever parental rights with me because of the number of times I would blow up this manuscript. For context, this is the 11th version of it that we wrote in a year before it was done. Why am I telling you this? Because everyone has critical opinions about the people they love, and they have critical opinions about total strangers.
That's because I paid $20 for your book, and you better tell me everything, motherfucker.
Accept it. Instead of trying to change reality, which is driving you crazy, use it to your advantage. Let them. Here's another truth. Just because someone has a negative opinion doesn't mean they feel negatively about you as a whole. I can think a bad thought about my husband and still love him and treat him with so much respect and kindness. And this is something that the let them theory and the two parts, let them and let me, has taught me. Two things can be true at once. You can be annoyed by the way someone is acting, and you can still love them.
Yeah, that's true.
And isn't that how you feel about the people that you love?
Oh, yeah.
You love them deeply, which
You
is
love
why
it and
you
hate
have
it.
such strong opinions.
Underdogs on top.
You think their friends are bad influences. You think they're overreacting
Still love
over
them.
dumb things. You think their boyfriend treats them poorly. You think their business idea is going to fail and it's stupid. You think they're acting self-centered. But you still love them.
Still love them.
My point is simple. People will have negative opinions about you and every single thing you do. Let them.
True.
Let them judge. Let them react. Let them doubt you. Let them question the decisions you're making. Let them be wrong about you. Let them roll their eyes when you start posting videos online or you want to rewrite the manuscript for the 12th time. Instead of wasting your time worrying about them, start living your life in a way that makes you proud of yourself.
Fine.
Let me do what I want to do with my one wild and precious life. This approach is so liberating because right now, you're living your life and making decisions trying to anticipate what everyone is going to think. And when you let the fear of what people might think, something you'll never be able to control, when you let that fear dictate your choices, you limit your own potential. And you hold yourself back from pursuing what's meant for you. This fear of other people's opinions, it's the reason you procrastinate. It's why you doubt yourself. It's behind the perfectionism and feeling like you just have to get it right. Why do you need to get it right? So that nobody has a negative opinion. And most importantly, this fear is why you wake up every day and you avoid the work that would actually help you get ahead. I did this for years. You're so afraid of judgment that you're not taking any of the risks. Isn't that what you're afraid of?
No.
That you'll be judged? That if you get divorced or you quit the real estate business or you go back to school or you cut your hair or you try out for the soccer team and get cut, that everyone's going to have an opinion about it?
I guess.
Of course they're going to have an opinion about it. So what? This stupid fear is stopping you from trying new things. It's stopping you from taking risks and being yourself and making the moves that over time will change your life. How sad. I did the same thing. The let them theory will help you be more courageous. Doesn't it seem smarter to just accept reality instead of working against it and give people the freedom to judge? If you can't control what someone thinks, there's absolutely no reason why you should be afraid of it or allow it to stop you. Your time is way more valuable than that because you, my friend, you've got important things to do with your one wild and precious life. And starting today, you're going to grant people the freedom to think negative thoughts about you. Let them. Now I know what you're thinking. Yep. Right, Mel. Let's do this. What? You're going, I don't want people to think negative thoughts about me. I don't care. Neither did I. But the fear of what other people may think is a major source of your self-doubt. I'm going to say some sentences to you, okay, that you probably say to yourself. Sentences that stop you in your tracks and make you doubt yourself. And I'm going to ask that you consider the sentence. And then I'm going to challenge you a little bit, okay? So when you say, I'm not good enough.
I got chicken teriyaki from Swiss Chalet. I didn't know they had it. But now they do.
I'm not smart enough. For whom? Well, they're going to be mad at me. Who's going to be mad at you? My parents wouldn't approve. They'd be so disappointed. So? Well, if I do this, no one's going to like me. Who's no one? What will my friends think? Whatever they want. Does this make me look bad? To whom? Every one of these common fears. Did you notice? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. They're going to be disappointed. What will they think? It's all tied to other people. That's why I am going to hammer this fact over and over again. People will have negative opinions about you and your outfit and what you just said and who you're dating and what you did last week and what you want to do with your career.
They better not.
Let them. Adults are allowed to think whatever they want to think. Let them. So are you.
It's okay.
Let me. This is why
Chicken teriyaki stir fry.
Set you free.
Stir fry.
Because instead of living your life on
From
the
Swiss Chalet.
defense, you are going to get
Really
on the
good.
offense. You're going to play the game of life the way you want to. Let them think what they want and let me do what I want. Because here's another truth. You are so much stronger and cooler than anyone's opinions about you. Stop giving your power to other people and step into your potential. That's what's available to you right now. Let me live my life in a way that makes me proud. Let me make decisions that align with my values. Let me take risks because I want to.
Really good book, though.
Follow the path my soul is turning me toward. Doing what makes you happy,
I'm enjoying
being
it.
brave, taking risks, following your own path will always be more important than other people's opinions about it. This is your life. Stop letting other people's opinions ruin it. Write the book. Ask them out. Wear what you want to wear. Go surf all day. Go back to school. Drop out of school. Move. Get a dog. Book the trip. Stop drinking. Embrace your sexuality. Take the path you've been scared to follow.
All right, a little too personal there, Mel.
The more you use the let them
Chill
theory,
fuck out there, bud.
the more you'll realize that underneath this fear of other people, your soul has been nudging all along in the direction that's meant for you. And every time you say let them, you clear all of the noise and distraction that's on the surface, and you create space for something deeper. Your voice, your intuition, your truth, and your unique path in life. It's always been there.
True.
It's just been buried beneath this fear. And as you use the let them theory to free yourself of the burden of other people's opinions, you're going to begin moving through life with your values and your needs and your goals as your roadmap. Instead of anticipating what other people might think, you'll be navigating your life in a way that makes you proud of yourself. And that right there is the secret. When you are proud of yourself, you hold all the power. And this brings me to a very important point about prioritizing your needs while also maintaining supportive and loving relationships. The point here is not to move through your life as a selfish or narcissistic person who doesn't care about other people. The point is learning how to put your needs first as you're balancing what works for you with the expectations and feelings of other people. I mean, in life, you don't want to be a doormat, but you also don't want to be an inconsiderate bulldozer. It's a balance. And we've already talked about this earlier in the book, about how the let them theory puts you in balance with other people. But I want to unpack this because I get a lot of questions about guilt. And this is one area where you're going to find the let them theory is incredible. So let's say you have a crazy busy weekend coming up. On one hand, you've got this old friend celebrating a big milestone birthday, and it's one of those really fun weekends where all your old friends are getting together to celebrate. But for you, it means you got to make a 4-hour drive to get to where the party is going to be held. And you know that the right decision for you is absolutely make the effort, be there. But on the other hand, you had promised your parents months ago that you would come home this very same weekend because your grandparents are visiting. Now, you want to do both. You want to be a good friend. You want to be a good kid. You want to be a good grandkid. So you move heaven and earth to drive 4 hours north of the city to be present for the Friday night festivities, to celebrate your friend. And oh my gosh, it was a blast. You were so glad you made the effort and you went. You stayed up late. You laughed with your friends. You downed a bottle of wine. It was awesome. And then the next morning, you wake up at 7 a.m., you roll out of bed, you pull on your sweats, you leave a note saying you're sorry to miss out on the rest of the weekend. You get back in the car, you drive another 4 hours to get back to your parents' house and spend the rest of the weekend with your grandparents. Now, as you're driving on the road, how do you feel? You're proud of yourself. You're proud of
All right,
yourself
4
for
more
making the
minutes.
effort.
Whoever
You're proud of
asked about
yourself for figuring it all out.
whoever asked about the Leafs game, I'm sorry for saying no because we're gonna put it on. It's a good idea. Game 7, I forgot. Big game. So I'll just put it on my phone. You guys can listen. We'll watch that. 4 minutes left in this chapter. And then there's 8 hours left of this book. So
Little do you know, as you're driving down the highway to your parents' house, the birthday girl was apparently upset that you left and turned to all your friends and said, I don't even know why she bothered coming if she could only stay one night. Let her. It's now 4 hours later. You're at your parents' house. You're a little hungover. You're a lot tired. You roll out of the car in your sweats. You run up to your grandma, who's so excited. She is teary-eyed. And oh my gosh, that one hug makes the 4-hour drive worth it. Then you turn and you go and hug your mom, and she whispers in your ear in the crankiest tone, your grandmother was so disappointed you weren't here when she arrived last night. And you're thinking, what? And then she adds, you gotta hurry up.
where the fuck's Grandma?
Leave for lunch in 10 minutes. Change. Let her. I'm telling you this story to prove 2 important points. Even when bend over backwards and try to please everyone and make it work and go way out of your way to do everything in one weekend, even that won't guarantee that other people will think a positive thought. Let them. Second, and this is the most important point, don't be the person who bends over backwards to make everyone happy. I used to be that person. You want to know what it does? It makes you depleted. It makes you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough.
Yeah.
Now that I know the let them theory,
True.
I bend over backwards. But I do it to make myself happy. Let me explain. See, the reason
we know
you make a Herculean effort to show up at both your friend's birthday party and to see your grandparents is that it makes you proud of yourself. Don't go to your friend's birthday so they think you're a good friend. Go to your friend's birthday because it makes you feel like a good friend. Don't go home to see your grandparents because it makes your mother happy. Go home to see your grandparents because it makes you happy to prioritize your grandparents, your parents, and your family. See, when you operate in a way that makes you proud of yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think. Because other people are going to be mad that you left early, or they're going to be mad that you arrived late. Someone is always going to be disappointed by the decisions that you make. Don't ever let that person be you. And don't let guilt drive your decisions. Because when you go to your parents because you feel guilty, you've now turned your parents into the villain.
Yeah.
When you choose to go because you'd be mad at yourself if you didn't, you're in control of your decisions. Do you see how that works and why it's so powerful? That when you make decisions because it makes you feel like a good daughter or a good friend or a good colleague, that's what keeps you in control. And this was a very straightforward example of how you can use the let them theory to stop worrying about what other people think and let your values drive your decisions. But what do you do in those moments when your opinion and someone else's opinion really do clash? Like, what if your mom doesn't like the person you're going to marry?
Just own her.
What do you do then?
Never talk to her again.
Chapter 6.
Tell her she's 7 years old. All right. Let's watch. Or let's listen. Oh. Oh, sorry. Let's go Leafs.
You're welcome. Like, shouldn't tell anybody's home.
Commercial.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Done. I also do that.
Tell me why. Ain't nothing like a boner. Tell me why. Ain't nothing like a boner. Tell me why. Oh.
Well, defines blur, one cop lays down the law.
Justin Bieber's there. We turned on the perfect time. Let's go, Haley. Show your tats.
You're right.
They better win for Justin Bieber in Toronto.
on those rebounds. He covers it extremely well. And anything that's a rebound in tight, you have to be thinking top third of the net to get it up and over. We've seen a couple of examples already. The guys come early on, patch ready as well, and then the can there, the can there. Whereas that's the least there. The next department played the thing. 7 and 11. Actually, wide. Side in. It's the fact that without in offense, when a turnover creates this chance for Rodriguez. His first attack, it's missing the last two. And he sticks there. A nice reaction from Bill, not allowing Rodriguez to get his shot at it. The postseason game for Rodriguez, who had 4 goals in last year's Stanley Cup Final Series. There's like that, isn't it? The only 4 of the difference with other goals so far.
Oh, wow.
Sir, starts in the defensive zone. We've talked so much about Chris Tanev. Watch this pencil here. Takes the body, has a good stick. With pressure, outlet pass, right back to him, secondary outlet pass, and then Lawton through the net, and Moritz moves for that shot. Trying to go under the arm, it looked like he kind of got it mid-zone. Maybe trying to go under, but Bobrovsky was able to hold on, and there's that fourth line again. They've had 2 of the best chances in this first period for the Maple Leafs. The blue liner behind Lawrence stumbled there. I don't know if Lawrence knew he had that much time. Not in the fan. And the center, that's his Toby. Toby.
Oh,
It's a great Stanley Cup playoff. The fans across the country for Canadians. This isn't this week. It's our game. The coach always talking about it. I think it's pretty evident early on. They got to their games right off the top, but as we saw right through, we kind of get the engine running a little bit. It started to turn, and sometimes you need goaltender to make a few big saves. That's what happened with Wall. Now both teams have their leg. Whether it face off win by up by Matthew, that was by and others. How good of a sign was it for Austin Matthews for that goal in Game 6? You've seen it of his 401 career regular season goals. You know, you've probably seen it 100 times. He's dangerous from that spot, getting a shot through the defender and going in. Chris, it just hasn't been happening for so long. It was unusual to see.
huge game right now. 2 good teams.
And he's so good at disguising where the release point is to not know exactly where it's going to go. Now the shots are easy. And 7 apiece. We're set for Florida. Last seven to Toronto. Gets the first right. Get right. Get off three. Gets the whistle. You know, these games, they tend to be so tight defensively, so much on the line, elimination for both. You know, players at times are afraid to make mistakes. Puck management is on the words in both coaches. At least historically, it hasn't been their defense that's lost them in game sevens. It's been their own. Last five game seven, they've had. They're locked in, bud. Jesus. They've been this series. Those last couple games to try to get some offense. Game seven here has been no different. Game seven in this building was the 22 loss into the Tampa Bay Lightning. What inflicted it was a seven loss against Montreal and an empty building here. And just about empty. There's the back in his own zone. Keeps changing us. Matthew Warner and Hayes come back on. The hit connect with Larson. Yeah. The check, but it didn't work at Lucy. The check returns to the teams. That was straight ahead. The beef gets knocked down by Jones. Just it reaches. Just he jumped out too early. It's the responsibility of the player on the bench to read what's happening on the ice. Then Wallace penalty, bench fire penalty, should have eventually getting rough. Top right of your screen here. Looks like it's going to be an offensive chance, and that's Tana jumping out. That ball went to go back, and it is the responsibility. So you can't go too quickly. And you can see Benoit trying to get back. It's too late. Tana plays the puck. So the game's first power play goes to the Florida Panthers. 14-6. The 9 in this series. Panther power play has been particularly good on the road where they are 38.9%. And throwing the ball, but he's a lot away from that. It comes to Ekblad. They get Jones and Ekblad. With Reinhardt. It's looking. It's the line. You can stick for 12. But it's the 3-5. Stick on there. Matthews gets the tap from Marner. He did a good job of Barkov just trying to hold him off the leg and make it left. Late stages here. The opening current. He's trying to get it. This very young skates here. It's up. Seth Jones. Back in his own zone, 80 seconds left. In the first period of game 7. Slips it back. In comes Reinhardt. It's a long look across the field. On that left flank, Kachuk. Had a little trouble with it. Well, they'll get it back to Kachuk. Matthew Kachuk trying to force that across on the stadium. Final hit to this period. Kachuk centers off goal. Right back to Ekblad. The board. The carry Colts and supply. Again on Kachuk. Yep. Reinhardt starts off. He has a power play goal in this series. Barkov has all. Kachuk gives it to the captain. Come on, boys. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. There you go. It's not rocket science, boys. Fuck. All right, there we go. End of the first.
0-0. Damn, they're making this close. This is getting scary. This is getting scary. Scary, scary. All right, I'm gonna take a little breather. I'll be back for the sometime in the second. Bye, guys. See you soon.